Good evening. I'm Mark McIntyre, Chairman of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation. It is February 26th. We have a full board with alternate tonight. So starting to my right with Nina Edward Anker, Susan Stevenson, Jeff Broadley, Jane Clare, and our alternate Kathy Buxton. So with a full board, motion to open the February 26th meeting of the ARB. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Also joining us tonight is our counsel, Alice Cooley. In the back, we have Jackie Allen, who's taking notes, and recording secretary, and Sage is handling AV. Our planning director, Alex Wallach, is not with us tonight. Just so we know, the next meeting after tonight will be March the 11th. And any carryover applications would be due by noon on the 5th of March. So with that, okay, so our first order of business is minutes approval, but I have not read through the corrected version of the February 12th minutes, so I'm going to ask that we adjourn that till next meeting. Which brings us to the next agenda item, which is the written decision for 44 Lewis Street for a driveway gate. Council, do you want to give us any top line?
Sure. So this is for a driveway gate. This was on 2 times. Initially, the board found that the design was inconsistent with the simple design of the house because the house was an important one. And the applicant redesigned the gate, which the board then found to be appropriate, but they proposed a deer grate, which the board found was not harmonious. So they approved the gate conditioned upon the removal of the cattle grate.
Okay. Did everyone take a look and get a chance to read the written decision?
I just sent it out today, so.
Okay.
And not to you, Nina,
Not to
my
you, 'cause you
apologies. I
weren't
don't have your email yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, I'm going to motion to accept the written decision for 44 Lewis Street to approve the driveway gate. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a lot of adjournment requests, so I'm going to gang them all together. Motion to accept the adjournment request for 383 First Neck Lane to March the 11th. Garrett Pike at 62 Dale Street to March the 11th. 300 North Main Street LLC to March the 11th. 242 South Main Street LLC to March the 11th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And then I'm going to motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 2020 Meadow Lane to March 25th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So that brings us to carryover matters. The first is Wells Fargo, 111 Main Street, also known as 25 Nugent Street for Wilson. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm just going to ask, because that's a directional mic, that please speak into it.
Yep, you got it.
Because at the last trustee meeting, you couldn't hear a thing. So, okay.
Just before we start, I know last time you wanted us to try and merge the exterior and the signs together, but they weren't on the agenda. We're like later on for the exterior. I don't know if we could just do them both now or no.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. Go ahead. Let's
Okay.
speed us up.
Yeah. So I guess last time we met, the concern about was really the canopies and then the exterior lights on the building, which if you have seen the revised plans, we have gotten rid of those 3 exterior lights that were on the side facing Main Street. We don't need them anymore. So talked with the landlord, and we're going to remove those. So we did add the gooseneck lighting as requested by the board.
Okay.
So are we doing both of these things together?
Well, we're going to do them separately. Let's talk about the signage.
Well, he didn't. Here's-
Let me ask this question before I answer that, because I may reverse my decision. There was an original proposal to put a canopy all the way across the front. Is that still
No,
here?
it's not all the way across the front. If you could see, if you could see on the revised plans, it's
Okay,
just that little
so
bit.
the canopy just covers the front door.
That's correct, yes. And there is lighting in there, and the reason there's lighting in there is because of, we need to have lighting, since there is technically an ATM inside the building. we do have to have some sort of lighting out there.
Okay.
Do you have a?
It's also required by code
It's, yeah,
based on egress.
yes, we went through that last time with code and do or not. We have a
So is-
ATM, so
is there
apparently
an-
we do.
Is the fixtures there a full sheet on that?
For the underside of the canopy, not yet.
On the lighting, on the light fixtures per se,
On
the
the-
actual light
Do you have a
fixtures.
picture of what the actual light fixtures look like?
We do, not today.
So why don't you turn around and face me, if you would, please, thank you, and just describe or take us through what the canopy looks like. Because I'm actually, because the canopy and the lighting signage go together, I'm reversing my decision. Let's talk about them both at the same time, because one actually does impact the other.
Sure.
Okay.
The canopy itself, it's pretty much, what we've done is we've aligned the canopy with the steel member that's currently there now, just above the entry doors.
Well, are there two things here? Yeah,
There
right.
should only be one
You're
canopy.
if you point to, you're talking about the facade of the building that faces east.
Yeah, let's use compass directions. So that's the east-facing facade, correct?
Correct.
With the canopy. Okay, I think that'll be clear.
Okay.
All right.
It'll be a metal canopy with the internally directed gutter along the backside of the canopy, so it won't be an exposed gutter. It'll be an internal gutter in the canopy itself, and then leader down in through the building and then out onto the pavement. Details haven't been drawn yet, but once we get to that point, we'll submit those drawings.
Well, here's the tricky part.
Just
We can't really,
right.
I can give you
I'll put the
directionally,
cart
I can
before
give
the
you
horse.
directionally what we think,
Okay,
but we can't give you an approval for something we haven't
of
seen.
course.
So I think let's do this. Let's talk about directionally what we think, and then we will talk about the signage, because I know you do need to get it manufactured. I know
Okay.
we've held this up a little. I'm trying to be fair.
Okay.
And then on the side facing south, the south facade of the building, that's just signage and lighting on the existing as is. You're making no.
That's nothing else over there, correct?
Okay. So you are proposing the signage and then the light fixtures,
Correct.
and 4 of them. And are the Wells Fargo lights backlit?
No, that's why we removed that. They were originally, but we got rid of that, so they're just gooseneck lighting.
Are they showing the placement of the gooseneck?
Oh, that's the one drawing. It's this one.
They have date. Yeah, that's the
This-
front.
it's this one.
That's the back. It's not very well labeled.
And do we know whether
Did we
they're,
submit elevations
This is the front. Yeah.
from the
So where's the
architect?
back?
That's the
Yeah.
west. What you're looking for is
Yeah.
the side. Here,
well, let's see.
looks like this.
Yeah,
So we're doing this signage and then light fixtures. Yeah,
right.
but that's the current drawing.
Jane was bringing up a good
I
point,
picked up the material. It's not like anything.
which is that we're lacking some of the specs that we would normally have. Are these
Right.
pinned letters? Are these pinned letters? How thick are the letters? The actual dimensions of the letters? The materials and the finish. So,
Yeah, so, so I'm concerned that the size of the letters vis-à-vis the CVS letters,
but now, which side
they're
are we
not
talking
there.
about?
On the western
that's-
side. Actually,
there-
there is a,
but we don't have any,
I thought we were just now talking about the south.
Oh, thank you. But
The south
what
side.
is, they don't say what the size is. It looks fine on that, but that could be anything.
Which side are we talking about now?
No, she's got one.
well, I think what you're hearing is there's a lot of detail not here.
like, numbers.
We reduced the signage per the last request. We
Yeah.
were at 24 square feet, if you remember. We went
Yeah.
down to 19.
Height and
Here, what I
width.
would, let's try this. Here's what I would tell you directionally. The idea, and everybody join in here, please. The idea of taking that original proposal across the entire front of the building is a good one, because it now forces you to my opinion, to look at this building as its own entity. I understand the need for protection over the door, because that's a flat door that right now that goes deep. So directionally, from my perspective, then everyone else give your own opinion, an idea of putting that narrow cover over the door I think is fine. The idea of light fixtures seems fine, and to me the scale of the lettering doesn't seem, it doesn't seem wrong. The scale seems fine. In order to prove it, we would have to know, like, what are the materials? Does it stand out from the building? What, color? Yeah.
I think we have the sign vendor on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Is there?
But you also don't have
Rachel, are you on?
But you also don't have material. You don't have cut sheet on the light, and you don't have any drawing material on your awning. So there's
And the,
not a lot to prove here.
like it's 18 by 14, we can't sign off on a
Well,
plan.
they are 16 inches high, the lettering.
Okay.
Where does, but you have to put it in,
Is it
on a
there?
document, he has to sign documents that can be referred to in the future. So we're asking you to
Well, it's,
document
yeah.
what you want to do.
well, they have documented that it's 16 inches high.
Oh, okay,
Hello,
great.
can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Rachel.
Oh, hi, my name is Rachel. I'm the sign vendor. I can answer some of the questions you have regarding the signage and the thickness and how they're mounted.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, so the letters are going to be 16 inches tall by 14 feet and 5 inches and a half wide. They are 1 1/4 inch aluminum faces, which will be painted black. The returns are aluminum as well. They'll be painted white. They're 63/10 of an inch. They will be installed with masonry lag bolts following ASTM guidelines to the brick.
And is it matte black?
Yes.
Okay.
So that,
That
to
sounds
me,
cool.
that all sounds good. Oh, oh,
Do you have this sheet?
Yes, but
does this act?
it's a lot of pieces of paper
It
that,
says 16 inches on there.
Okay.
right, but it doesn't, okay, fine.
Does it have the other information that Rachel mentioned? Paint, rose floor, white satin finish options, satin brush, use
And how, do
contact.
you, the dimensions of the overhang, because on this, when it's on a plan like this, it's hard to know. Yeah,
Well,
no.
the overhang is 173.5 inches wide by.
Yeah, to Rachel's credit and
Is
the
that the
applicant's
overhang
credit,
or the
they
side?
do have the details in on this sheet, which is
Okay,
okay, and it
Like it on
does say matte
organized.
brush and roll adhesive contact. Okay. Satin finish, which is essentially matte.
Great.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay.
Okay, so from what I see,
Should also have architectural. Should also have a set of architectural plans submitted by our.
I did find the canopy.
We've got
Okay.
this from the,
That's
which
it.
is good, which has all the things that Rachel just
Right.
enumerated, so that's excellent, thank you.
But
And the
are there numbers
canopy
on it?
is held by guy wires, is that
Guy
it?
wires, it would also connect it to the structural steel member
Right.
above the storefront. It'll
Gotcha.
be lagged into that
And
member.
the signage is flush to the building, or is it,
It'll be flush to the building,
okay, so, and the canopy is how deep?
3 feet.
3 feet. So the signage is gonna have to be somewhat higher than that, at least.
It is somewhat higher, but you pretty much want to see it from a distance versus while you're standing on the sidewalk.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, directionally, I think proportionally and everything else, and given the finishes that Rachel detailed.
This is, it shows the slope but no numbers.
No sizes.
That, yeah,
Is that all that's on there?
I guess.
Okay. I don't have a
I-
set with.
you know, what can I
Okay.
tell you? Yes, I don't see a number.
Okay.
Yep.
Is the architect on?
What?
Bill or Joe, are you
well,
on?
here's what I think we're about to do.
Go ahead.
It needs to be a little organized.
Yeah. When are you guys opening?
We haven't started CDs yet till
so,
we,
so you have time. All right.
till we
So let's
complete
adjourn
this
this.
phase.
Let's adjourn this because here's what I want to say. I want to see like actual drawings. Direction seems fine, but the drawings that you've got for the canopy don't actually have depth dimensions on them.
Okay.
The signage seems to be fine, but we would want to see cut sheets to understand exactly what the lights look like. So I think you should probably adjourn this and then come back with all the materials together so we can look at all at once. Rachel, since you're on the phone, how long does it take to manufacture the lettering?
Our lead times vary, but they are generally between 6 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
6 to 10.
Okay. But you're more than that away from opening, right? Okay. So what I'm going to say is adjourn this and come back with like complete set of plans, construction drawings, materials, pictures of the light fixtures,
Okay.
everything that we need to totally actually understand 100% what's going on here.
Color on material of the canopy.
Pardon?
Material
Material of the canopy.
And rendering of the canopy?
And we'll reduce the number of pages as well.
Pardon?
We'll reduce the number of
Yes,
pages.
because you have for what is actually a fairly simple project here, there's more pages than I have from some of the houses.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that because I think that's fair to you. Directionally, we would tell you the size and the scale of the signage looks right,
Okay.
but we really can't approve it without, the actual lettering we could probably approve, but then we can't approve the lighting, we can't approve the awning because there's just not enough full information here. Okay?
Got it.
So, would you like us to adjourn? And I'm assuming you can be ready by.
I guess we gotta see the material for the canopy. We'll reach out
The
to the building.
5th.
Okay.
March
What I'm going to
5th.
suggest you do,
Yeah.
for expediency, is adjourn this to the 11th, and then if you can't be ready by the 11th, let us know and go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay, motion to approve the applicant's request for adjournment to March the 11th for Wells Fargo, 111 Main Street. Is there a second?
Well, what?
Oh, hand up.
It's artistically.
Oh, I guess Joe can make it.
Why is it the thing that should be easy is the thing that's
Oh, my God. Well, now that we can, this is live, I don't know how different it gets.
Are they coming in?
It's gonna be the wrong application.
This is the architect.
Oh.
George?
Yes, Bill?
Hello, Bill.
Yeah, now, do you need any answers from me now? Regarding, for example, the windows, the storefront?
No, I think we don't. I think what we need is you to come back and pull, complete 100% accurate plans, pictures, and materials.
Yeah, the biggest issue, Bill, was the canopy.
Yeah.
And details on the canopy and the lighting.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so back to the motion. Motion approves the applicant's request for an adjournment to March the 11th for 111 Main Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, so we have no public hearings for Landmark. We have no demo evaluation. That takes us to carryover public hearings historic. The first one is for 36 Main Street LLC, exterior alterations. Hello? And two things, if you could state your name for the record and make that microphone your friend.
Good evening, John Lavey, architect.
Yep.
I was here last meeting, and basically the board's thought process was they wanted to basically try and affect the building as little as possible from the exterior perspective. So with that in mind, I have taken out all the revisions and modifications that I had originally proposed and have gone back to the window sizes being the same, window panes being the same. The only real change that I'd like to talk about tonight, that's on these plans, is I thought we might do a hardy plank siding, but I really think now, and look at, I did a little research on the siding of the building itself, and Asbestos shingles came around, about 1902, 1905, and they were very, very popular around the turn of the century when this building was happening. So I think we should probably, in order to keep the fabric the same, I'm going to suggest that we use a GAF fabric cement fiber shingle. That will match it the most, and it's designed to take the place of these. They get kind of brittle, so they need to be replaced occasionally, or a lot, I should say. So I think rather than having what I'm calling for as a hardy sink, I'd like to reside the whole building in a fiber plank shingles. That way, it'll match his fabric pretty well. The only other,
Do you know the dimensions of those planks?
we'd have them match the existing ones that are there. I can get them for you if you like.
So they'd have that long, deeper exposure?
They're long and deeper. They have a wood grain to them, and these have a little bit of a bevel, like a wave bevel to them. Very similar to the shingles that are on the optical building on this side of Main Street. They look to be about the same vintage. But I can get you some. We can take a look at it if you want to see them.
What's the material?
It's called a fiber cement shingle.
Fiber cement?
Mm-hmm. It's GAF makes it, and we'd paint them white to match the house. I mean the building. The only other change that we have kept in the same from last week is that, or last meeting, was the owner of the restaurant would like to change the window configurations a little bit so they could open up into be.
Did we already discuss this? No, this is another change?
No, this change was from last week. It's
Okay.
but the only thing I tried to put the building back together exactly as is, with the exception of the three windows that are on the front facade and the one on the Bank Street. These will open up.
John, they're gonna open up how?
They'll be bifolding. They'll bifold into the building. They'll bifold in the building. Mm-hmm. So you can see on the front, on the existing right now, there are plate glass windows here. So there'll be two divides, and the horizontal line is a bit taller on our new address where it is right now. And there's no horizontal line here because they wouldn't just go up to the existing opening. We're not changing the openings. We're just changing the window type.
Right.
So there are 3 panels, but you said bifolding?
Yeah, they're gonna bifold into the store itself, into the restaurant itself.
So all three would fold back against one wall, so you'd have a big opening?
That's correct.
I'm trying to get, how do you get from 3 to 2?
Oh, there are 3 window panes that are all, if you see here on the blow up.
The accordion
They
back.
accordion into the corners.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Allows the bar to be open.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We kept the door the same. We put that the old front door the way it was. So really, I think the only change you'll see, marked a little different, would be the window configuration of the restaurant.
And the bifold would make it more similar to the appearance of the plate glass that was originally there? Is that something you mentioned last time?
Well, it's the plate glass was a single pane. Now it'll be 3 panes. But this had 3 panes originally, 1 horizontal and 2 vertical. Now we have. Can you move the mic over for me?
Oh, he wants you to talk into the mic. So if you're at the table, maybe sit.
Don't stand in between.
It's like Simon says.
Okay. Can you hear me? Great. So these are the existing window configurations. So basically, it's a 5-light window, and we're going to be having a 6-light window. Where there were 2 here, now we have 3. We need to create the horizontality of these folding windows like the way. So the real change will be in the window presentation to the street. Otherwise, the rest of the building is the same. And I know we also kept the same lighting. I know it might be an issue, but I looked at it through the eyes of when Zach gave us that picture of the building from 1979. The goose that appears to be that were there originally. They were there. They've been there for 45 years. So I figured we'd probably keep them, but that's something we could discuss.
Here's my question. If you're going to all this work to the building, those light fixtures, because right now isn't that exposed pipe that goes across the front of that building? Are you gonna rewire them into the building to where we're not seeing all that exposure, that 1-inch pipe that goes across the front?
Yes, we'd like to do that.
Yeah, okay. So they're not, so the fixtures are staining, but you're remounting the light boxes.
Yes.
Okay.
There and also on Bank Street, there are several lines of communication and wiring, and that we'd like to just get rid of as long as we're doing it, just cleaning it up.
Board members.
I think the design is true to the historic nature of the building. I think the opening up the interior with the folding windows is a nice touch to provide a flow. You're going to have, I assume, continue to have outdoor dining, right? Or something on the counter.
In
right?
the front of the in the front right here, yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll.
Big money maker.
I know. No, so I think it'll flow nicely. I think it'll be a nice venue on Main Street. That's my opinion.
I have the pseudo shingles. I just wonder. I don't know what to think about that because it is an old building. I understand your purpose. I do.
Well, you asked me to try and replicate as much as possible the existing structure, and the history of these asphalt shingles was they really were very, very popular for roofs and sidewalls at the turn of the century, and they really were they were fire retardant. There's a lot of very good reasons why they were there.
Okay.
They're still there in the building. If you go right now and look at this wee little area between the Masonic building and this building, you can still see these shingles are still going down, and that space is only about 2 feet. So chances are those are probably the original structure to the outside of the building. That's what I would guess. And simultaneously with this, we would also in the back. We're going to change all the vinyl siding out. We would keep this product throughout the entire building.
All right, that's pretty convincing for me.
Any thoughts?
I just had a quick question. Did you look into the idea of having
If you could pull the mic.
of keeping the plate glass and still having ventilation above and below? Sorry.
It was the restaurateur's request that the building that the windows be opened up, sort of work of the buildings we've seen, of the shops he's seen in the past. And that was his request. So we're trying to honor that.
But did you tell him he could get ventilation above and below by sliding the?
Sure he is.
Yeah, it's okay. I like the plate open glass, but if there's a way to keep that and get ventilation at the same time, but it's
He was more concerned about the aesthetic of walking by and looking into the restaurant, and I think that's just almost like a vibe, but just the way he felt it. He wanted to have it.
more open. Okay.
Yeah.
Other board members?
I like the idea of the windows totally opening. I like that idea a lot. I think it's an improvement. I don't know what fiber cement is. I'm not familiar with that, and I just hope it doesn't look like plastic.
No, it looks very much like the shingles that are currently on the building. And if the board's like, I can get you some samples and we can look at it together. GAF makes them. There are other companies that make them, and they were designed to replace. Obviously, asbestos is not a great thing to have. So this is all over the place.
Oh, that.
So yeah. So.
But does it have that look like? I don't know. I just want to make sure that it's a sophisticated look.
It has a wood grain to it, yeah.
Yeah,
as do the shingles on the building.
Wood grain, though.
Yeah, but so do the shingles that are currently on the building.
I know, but we're upgrading, aren't we?
Well, we're upgrading to a product that's good for everybody, but it does match the.
Are you familiar with
But John, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nina.
Sorry.
No, I'm familiar with it. I haven't. Did you say you have a photograph of it that you could share with us from the optics building?
Well, I don't have a photograph. I could get you one though. I mean,
Nina, it has less sheen than vinyls.
Oh, it's very inert. It's
right.
we would paint the
It's
shingles.
paint-
More,
they're
it's more
painted.
it comes in like a gray
Yeah.
color. We would paint the building white to match the existing
I think
color.
my point is that if you had the option to put in a fake laminate floor or a real wood floor, I would, any day, I would prefer the real thing. So that's why I'm not familiar with fiber cement and I don't know what it looks like, so.
Does wood not work?
A lot of it.
I'm just curious.
I had proposed wood siding.
Because it's natural, like we're trying to be eco, but
I'd be totally fine with having a wood sided building. I think that's obviously you could argue it's very appropriate for 1902 when the building, or 1912 when the building was built. If not for the fact that it looks like there were these asbestos shingles have been on there since
1902.
that. I think so. Yeah. And so this product was designed to as a replacement when these fall off, because they are brittle. If you go down Broadway, you can see where
Yeah,
there's
they're brittle.
people kick it and they break, and they're more fragile. They're better now because they're fiber, so they're more durable.
Right.
But they're meant to look the same.
I don't know, just something about wood grain.
Wait.
Like, I would just like to see
Okay.
it.
I think a couple things. Are there a LEED certified building material? Do you know?
I don't know that for a fact, Mark. I would imagine they are, but I can find out for you.
Do you know? Because I believe they are.
some
But
of
but
these materials are, yeah, you can look into them.
what I'm hearing here's what I'm hearing, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is generally overall you have agreement on what you're doing.
Okay.
And thank you, because I think we've come a long way from where we started. The current window configuration that's there is most likely, from everything Zach could find, anybody can find, not original. So changing it out to the 3 sliding panels, I'm not hearing any pushback on that. I think the only question people want to have is on the actual building material, the siding material. So I think they'd like to see a sample.
I can do that.
Okay. So if we can do that,
Maybe
then I think-
if John is bringing in a sample, so the question is between wood, natural wood, or the substitute, perhaps a sample of wood, so this way Jane and I could see a comparison.
Not a problem.
Thanks, John.
Are there any comments from the public? And we think you can get that sample here by March the 11th, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. So you'd like us to adjourn to March the 11th?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment for 36 Main Street to March the 11th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Just one
you.
question about the samples. Should I paint them both white, or should I give you the raw shingle and the raw?
I think you should paint it.
What I would
That's it's
suggest
gonna
is
be.
bring a raw shingle so people can look at the material,
Oh.
and then a sample painted white of both of them for the visual comparison of what it will actually look like.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. So that takes us down to 700 Meadow Lane for exterior alteration to an existing dwelling.
Is that okay?
Just so you know, before you start, one of the things we did ask for in the last meeting is a historic report from Zach, which we have not received yet. So, but no, we're still waiting for that to see if there's anything else that report could help in the guidance of this decision.
Okay, great.
And if you could introduce yourself.
Will Minear Architect, 67 Hampton Road, Southampton, New York. I am here for the applicant for 700 Meadow Lane to come back and present our revisions to the exterior alteration based on the board's comments from last week. I do have Tim Rossi from Ken Folks, who presented, should be joining us online this evening.
Okay.
We were able to get in touch with Mary Cummings also.
Oh.
And I was able to visit her. She had invited me over and showed me what she found. Unfortunately, nothing directly on this property. A lot on 520 Meadow, which was the original architect's house. You know, original architect who did this house. It was his own personal house. So I'd like to say we're not done looking, but she didn't have anything for me. I don't know if Zach's gonna have different findings, but we were able to meet with Mary and see what she had. So Tim's online.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Hi, good to see you again. As Will mentioned, my name is Tim Rothie with Kinfolk, and we've put together vision to the previous presentation. I was going to start with the drawings, if that works for everyone.
Okay. I believe one of the bigger issues or questions of the last meeting was the front door entrance.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
so we have gone back to the original roof line and replaced the entry into the historic location. So as you see, this is the existing with the large stair tower that was objectionable to most of the board. So I'm just going to zoom in just to show the revised elevation, which is much more in keeping with the historic fabric of the building. So we've replaced the stair hall with a large divided light window. We've gone ahead and changed all of the windows back to casement and kept the divided lights, again, to make it as historically accurate as possible. We've changed the window openings so they are more varied throughout the front facade. At the front door, we've reused the existing front door that was previously located here and added a window. And then also have changed the masonry base from brick to stone, so it feels more in keeping with the English manor style of the original building. And then you'll see in the renderings, we've shown this as a carved stone surround with openings on either side, so it's much more historically accurate. Going to the side elevations, most of this is remaining as previously presented with some small tweaks here and there. And then on the rear of the facade, a major comment was the existing balcony with the trellis and the larger columns, and noted that the front facade felt disconnected from the back. So we've gone ahead and made all of the windows on the back divided lights, so it is much more in keeping with the front, and have also shown a more simplified column to be more open, as well as change the balustrade to something more in keeping with the style of the building. I'll go to the renderings. You'll see here some of the comparison between the historic image and our proposed elevation. Also showing the carved stone surround that we're proposing for the front entry, as well as the more varied stone base that would wrap the bottom section of the building. On the back side, showing that more Tudor styled column, as well as balustrade that wraps the balcony on the upper level. And then rendering showing the new facade without the stair towers. That roof line is really expressed and strong. Coming up to the front of the building, you'll notice the cast stone surround, the more varied deck stone on either side. We've kept the vining in keeping with the historic image, and also have some small windows around the entryway. And then the existing stair has gone away, so we've planted that entire area to make it much more lush and softened that front facade. On the back side, you'll notice it's much more open. We've taken away the double columns as mentioned, and then shown all the divided lights. And then you see it here from the sky, which is mostly in keeping with the existing fabric of the building. I'll go back to the front rendering for any comments.
Board members.
Does anybody want?
Go.
Do you want to start first?
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Great. It's good
Yeah.
to hear. We're very happy with the change, honestly.
It
It,
looks,
Yeah.
it has the feeling of the original. I think it's so charming, old
mhm.
house.
Thank you.
Well, I think what they did, if you look at the original photographs,
Yeah.
they went from what had become a bastardized building to restoring to what it was. And I assume it's the rendering more than anything else that's making the stucco look whiter than it might otherwise be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we do have a stucco sample, which we could bring up, which shows the color. I think it is a little whiter than that, right, Tim?
Yeah, it's something we were gonna play with, but we started off with more of a stone color, based on other buildings that we had seen of this style. It wasn't a very stark white; it had a bit of gray and beige to it, and we were planning on adding, which is not really shown in this rendering, a bit more texture, similar to the other style buildings in the area. So it will cast some shadow and won't be as stark and clean as it's shown here.
Yeah, we're probably colored by the lack of color and the presence of sepia in this vintage picture, which makes it look more
Right.
earth tone than or cream color, almost
Mhm.
like a cafe au lait.
Mm-hmm.
I have one.
Yeah, we were planning on
I have
keeping
one.
it relatively. Go ahead.
I have one question. When I look at the 1924 picture, which is the original senior residence house, the thing I'm questioning is the stone facade across the front. Because stone is not really an indigenous building material to Southampton, it was more indigenous to Connecticut. And when I look at the original house, and when I'm looking at the picture, and I'm also looking at your other supplied, it looks like brick was the primary building material.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It looks,
on which facade?
On the original Frick house that you sent us as
Whatever
your
you want.
inspiration, no, it's a big picture. I'm not on.
right.
Yeah,
B700?
that looks to me to be brick.
Yeah.
And I believe the original house, if I'm
This
looking at the
one
original
looks-
house, was it stone or was it brick? Is there a historic reference to it?
It looks
No,
more
it's unclear
stone.
from the photo, just given there is definitely a datum line that you'll see.
Does any of it still exist behind whatever?
No, it does not. No,
Really?
no.
Because
It's
it
a
also,
framed wood wall with
are
stucco
you
on it.
and
Wow.
in your renderings, are you stoned across the front and brick across the back?
No, we've only used brick. We're reestablishing the brick chimneys. Right now they're covered in stucco.
Okay.
So we liked the mix of the stone and brick. This reference, yeah, if you're on the lower left, is a coastal building in Rhode Island. But this architect, Harry T. Lindbergh, worked quite frequently, worked on the Coxwold building that you saw, or that you pointed out. That was all stucco, but felt it kind of anchored the building more than the brick would. And in most cases, if we are referencing this house to be inspired by an English manor, stone felt more appropriate.
That's one of the things I'll ask Zach in his report, because you just don't find very many examples in Southampton of that kind of stonework, and you wouldn't have then. Otherwise, you brought the house miles forward. You really listened to a lot of the issues that we had to say, and I think we're coming along very nicely on this house. Other board members?
I think the way the landscaping relates to the entry is really successful and made big improvements.
And also by moving the front board back down, so much better, and it also has a more welcoming, inviting feeling to the house versus being almost a stand for speeches. So I think that my only comment would be the stone versus brick on the bottom wall of the house exterior. So we'll see what Zach has to say about that.
Are we gonna talk about the other side?
Go ahead.
So the other side, I'm confused actually, those weird columns, those were not originally there, that you know about?
We haven't located an image of the backside
So
of
where
the
did they
home.
come from? Your first?
They're currently on the home.
Oh.
They're existing.
Okay, thank
They're
you.
existing. And this change was also preferred by the clients, just to open up the porch a bit more, make it a bit more open and welcoming as you're coming off the beach.
Fine.
Okay.
I think it's much improved. I would have never thought that by moving the front door over, it would make such a difference, but it really does. It really restores the house to its original state, so I think it's really coming along and looking great.
Any questions or comments from the public? All right, so I'm going to adjourn this because we need the historical board.
Understood.
And then we'll see if we can do a little research on the brick versus stone situation there.
Understood.
So I'm going to move that we accept the applicant's request for adjournment to March the 11th for 700 Meadow Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Guys, come a long way.
Thank you.
It's really, really nice.
We didn't get a chance to drop these off. Do you guys want some copies of
Yes.
this presentation set?
Yes, you can leave them here. That'd be great.
And just to
And also
clarify, you're just looking for more
A set
materials?
for Zach, we hope to make sure he has the most recent.
Yeah, the historical.
Here's 5 for everyone.
Couple more 100 pounds of paper.
All righty, so that brings us to, we have adjournment. That takes us to new matters.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim, I think Tim had a
you.
question quickly, though, just to clarify the material issue.
Oh, I just was wondering, is there anything further that you'd like to see beyond
We're
material
adjourned.
samples in person?
We're adjourned at
We're
this
not
point,
allowed to.
so we'd have to reopen the record, so
Sorry.
we can.
That's fine.
Okay. So next up is new matters historic. The first one is 121 Elm Street for construction. Yeah, I'm gonna also.
Do you have affidavits?
I do.
You have affidavits and they're in order?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Microphone is your friend.
Never sat here before. Lisa Zaloga, I'm
And
the architect
I know
for.
I know I'm and then pull it towards you. They're directional mics, so they don't pick up that well from a distance. Okay. This goes back to like the last trustee meeting. John did a long presentation.
Nobody
we could
heard
hear
it?
none of it, just because the mics don't pick up from a distance.
Okay. Lisa Zaloga, I'm the architect for 121 Elm Street. This is a proposal to pick up the existing residence and put it on a new foundation in the same location and do an addition on the back of the house. We have some pictures from the olden days, if you will. So the front of the house, at some point in time, had kind of a wraparound porch, and at some point in time, it was actually cut back to the little bump out that's on the street side of the house or on the east side of the house. So our proposal is to put that back and pull that porch forward some, which if you look at this picture here, you can see what I'm talking about. This front porch right here currently is at this facade. It's pulled back, so we want to pull it forward back towards closer to the street, which you can kind of see here. Oddly enough, the front door to the house does not face the street. There's 2 side doors into that little front entry, but we still want to bring that porch back. Right now, there's a big, huge rhododendron there, so you really can't see the front of the house at all.
Is there any evidence this was ever a duplex? Because there are several on that street.
Yeah,
Because the door configuration was weird.
the door it is weird, but it comes into the same place, and the stair is actually in there, in that little foyer area. So I guess it's possible.
But not probable. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
just
couldn't
wonder
swear.
when I
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder when I was walking around it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like I said, our addition is proposed on the back of the house primarily, other than other than the change to the porch. So, if you did go walking around it, you would find that it has the two gables, the cross gable that's in the front on the front end of the house, and then there's at the back of the house there's a one-story section, and then another one-story section that's actually a screened-in porch currently. And our goal is to take down the screened-in porch and the one-story section and put our addition on the back half of the what's currently the two-story house. The screened-in porch, I tried to find information as to when that was built. There's nothing in the building department for this house that shows anything back to 1971. So it was probably before 1971, but I can't swear to it. The one-story portion that's currently the kitchen, it was definitely added on to the house, but I think it was added on 100 years. You know, I mean, it was added on a long, long time ago. But it's definitely, if you go down into the basement, you can see where there was a stairway that came, that's been boarded over for that addition. It's a crawl space. It was definitely done after the fact, but I can't say exactly when either. So, like I said, two-story addition on the rear of the house. It's actually in the same general location as as what's currently there, a little bit shorter than what's currently there. We're also proposing a little pool house and a little two-car garage. The other thing that I was looking at with the pictures, you know, the house is currently blue, and we would like to go back to white. And you can see some of these old pictures. You can see that it was actually a light color. You know, it was actually a light color at one point in time. It wasn't always blue. We want to.
It looks like natural shingle.
They do look like one looks like it's natural. The other one is a little harder to tell, but they do look like they're both natural. And then I assume that you noticed the windows with the stained glass around. So we're hoping to replace the windows, but in keeping that same detail with a Marvin window.
And the same mutton pattern. And
Yes.
Is it not possible to preserve any of those?
Well, they're all single glazed windows. You know, if we're doing all this work, we'd like to bring it up to an energy. It might be difficult. I'm not even sure I could meet the energy code with
but
it.
I'm asking because we are in the historic district. It is a historic house. And we do have the National Historic guidelines to go by.
Yeah.
There's also that really wonderful window that's in the rear gable.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's got the strange arches across the top.
Yeah.
That
I could
is
probably
not in your
keep them up in the I could probably keep them up in the gables because that's the attic. It's more trying to get my energy envelope. You know, now we have the stretch code. It becomes very difficult to do that with a single glazed window. But I mean, I could look at it if that was a problem, but I don't know that I can meet it.
Okay.
Well, there are HERS waivers in the historic district.
Is that, do you have to be, you know, registered or anything like that, or is it just for the
No, because
historic district?
you're in
Okay. I mean, I can look at
you're
it.
in a CLD historic district.
Yeah,
So.
I can look at it. Are you opposed to me replacing them and keeping the same detail?
Let's get everybody's comments here. I'm hogging the mic. Board members.
Are we getting a Zach in on this?
Yes, well, one thing I will say, we will be getting a historic report on it, so
So
we'll be voting on it
I
tonight.
want to hear from him.
Okay.
I think it's a really charming house, I gotta say. And it's certainly an ode to overgrown landscaping. I thought, well, this is the cutest house, and then I realized You know, I drive past it all the time, but I've never seen it because it's giant bushes
It's a very
are
large
sitting
rhododendron.
there. They're pretty fabulous. So yeah.
Jane, Nina?
Yeah, when you were talking about the stained glass windows, I was also thinking they're in the attic, so it doesn't seem like that would make a big difference to me.
Yeah.
I would say whatever you can keep would help out. So I think it's looking good. I would prefer a natural shingle over white, but I think it's better than the blue.
Baby blue?
Of course,
Really?
love the blue.
I like the blue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's historic, sadly.
Yeah, pending Zach's report, and I know Lisa goes to great effort to maintain and keep historic elements. So to the extent any of those historic elements can be preserved, I'd support that. One thing that was of concern, you say you're lifting the house. Is it going to be the same level, or is the roof line changing? Is it going to
Same level, same location.
Okay,
Just-
are we
just putting a
talking
new
about
basement.
any exit wells? Are they building out
There
a
is.
theater and gymnasium
They're
and
correct.
spa in the basement?
Yes.
Okay, doing all those
We're
things.
doing all of that.
Good,
Did you
yeah.
see it?
Um,
Yes, on the north side of the house, we want to have a small lower courtyard and have a basement stair coming down
And wait, on which?
on the north side.
On
This is the
north side,
street
okay.
here.
Yeah, I got
Okay, and then there would just be 2 window wells there and there
you. Okay.
at grade.
Okay. Well, again, pending Zach's report, and I mean this is the scale of this is expansive. I mean, compared to the existing house, and there is within the historic code. While it's not site purview or anything like that, it does refer to the placement of buildings within the context of the property. But anyway, let's wait for Zach's report.
Well, I have more to say before that report, but
Okay.
Nina.
I love the existing windows. I know that hers is an issue, but they are really great. It's a beautiful house. The proportions of the proposed elevations look good. And maybe I'm missing the before and after, just to get an idea of where the.
I didn't. I in the online I put the existing conditions, but then for this decided I would show you top and bottom. So I do have, but I didn't submit them like this to you, but I did them for tonight. So I mean, for instance, this is existing and proposed. So I can submit that to the file. You don't have this. I just printed
I
this like
see.
this for you. So, but I can submit them for you if it would help.
We need that.
I will add one thing in terms of the shingling, at least the color of it. White seems to be more if it was truly stained white when it was built, that's one thing, but a white house on that street, I think might be the wrong way to go.
Okay.
And again, historically out of context.
Okay.
Here's what I would tell you what I see from the beginning. When you walk around the porch, you gave us that great detailing on sort of that Chippendale railing that's on there. But I don't see it on the drawings that it's coming back.
And
so I would prefer that it came back.
It's definitely coming back, and I realized that it wasn't on the drawings, and so the new one you get will have
Yes,
it on there.
So I'd like to see the other way around.
Yes.
When I look at the size, have you raised these doors, the entrance doors on either side? From what there, or you're not changing historic opening there?
No.
Because there's a really odd but wonderful trim detail on those doors.
Okay.
It's got a back band that goes, because there's the 2 panes. The back band starts about 60% of the way up and goes across and just stops on both doors. But it's part of anything that's historic on the house we'd like to keep.
Okay.
And it's so odd, but in a wonderful way.
Okay.
When you lift the house and put it back down, we'd want it to be the same height that it is from, and
Absolutely.
also would you be brick lining the foundation to where it goes back to being brick, which is what it is now.
I can do that. I mean, it's painted though, right? Is it?
I don't believe so. Or
It looks like it's painted right here in this picture.
Yeah, I think it's painted.
that's the kitchen in the back. I'm not sure.
I think the whole foundation is
we'd
painted.
still want it to be brick though, because when I walked around the far side of it,
Mhm.
if there was something paint, it was still brick lined
Okay.
versus a cement. So we want it to look original. when I look at the proposed east elevation, you've added a window to the center of the front, and you look like you've taken the dimensions of the window on the second floor and changed that historic opening. Have you done that?
No, what I did is,
'Cause in the-
that window is
in thi-
exactly the
Because in
same.
this, in the original picture, it's a tall, that window seems to be much taller and of a different dimension.
Maybe it
than
was
what I'm
already
seeing. And
changed.
it's in this picture too.
Yeah.
So I just want to be careful that we're not changing the dimensions of any of the historic openings.
I'm not changing, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not changing from what's there currently.
Okay.
I don't know if it has been changed at some point in time, but I wasn't planning on changing it other than, like I said, and I think maybe what you're seeing is the fact that I brought that roof skirt in front of, because I've pulled the porch forward.
Okay.
So that might be why it looks different, but it's exactly the same window. And I did add a window in the first floor.
Yeah, because the dimension, you can see the dimension, this is much closer.
Yeah, no, I agree
And-
with you on
and-
the picture, but I mean, what's there now is not that tall. But maybe when we open it up, we'll see that
You
the
may
framing
find
was
that, yeah.
taller.
Okay. There's sort of three versions of this house. There's this one, there's one on Upper North Main, and there's another one that's down on South Main Street. They're of sort of the same period, and they have the same stained glass windows, and they have some of the same railing detail. They're all charming houses. I will go on record to say that I don't think white is right for this house. It was probably natural shingle, probably similar to what was on the corner of Post Crossing. Just when you white out all the details, you lose the dimension of it. I don't feel that right for this house, especially in that street in a historic district. So you may want to rethink about the color.
Okay.
So those would be my initial comments, and then we'll get the report from Zach. And the other thing I was going to say is we will want a full color rendering because there's a lot of shingle detail on here. I'll at least want to see it literally drawn out, the shingle detail.
Okay.
Because this house has such unusual shingle detail both in the sidewalls and up under the eaves.
Okay.
And up under the gables. So we just want to understand and make sure that we have, a written record of what's being maintained.
Okay.
Okay, because it's a historic house and it's a gorgeous house.
And I wanted to add, keep the lattice work in the front porch.
Yes.
I hope that doesn't go away because I think that's very,
Yeah.
All right, are there comments from the public? All right, so let's do this. I would suggest that you adjourn it to next meeting, and then we'll hear from Zach if he can get the report back by then.
Okay.
So we can move you along.
Perfect.
Okay, so motion to accept the applicant's request for adjournment to March 12th for 121 Elm
11th.
Street. March 11th for 121 Elm Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Willen and Ann Ricci, 256 North Main Street.
Good evening. I'm John Bennett. I'm representing the applicant. I have some.
John, do me a favor, into the microphone.
Excuse me? Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay, yeah, but
Okay. Sit down, Don.
I missed your whole presentation, the trustee meeting,
Uh,
and so did everyone
maybe
else.
sometimes that's okay.
That's your friend.
So, my name is John Bennett, and Dr. Bill Ricci is here with me. He's the property owner. I think Chris Alvino hopefully is on the Zoom, as we call it. I've submitted the affidavits of mailing and posting. This is a house that's almost completed. It's the southerlymost of the property. I always call this the Glenna Jagger property because Glenna used to walk around. She has her house there. She would walk around. She had a cat that had a radio transmitter on it, and she would walk around with this directional finder looking for the cat, and it looked like it had a big TV antenna on it to find her cat with the radio direction. It's almost like a World War II movie. But in any event, so local memories. So it's the house is under construction. We're almost there. There's certain modifications to the principal residence. They're fairly minor, but so what we did is, and it was a little bit. You okay? Okay. It was a little bit tough recreating some of the history of this house. The former owners started construction of it, and then Dr. Ricci took it over. But let's just talk about the front of the facade. I guess that would be the westerly elevation facing North Main Street. When it was originally approved.
Do you want to aim that toward me so it's
Oh, I'm
camera?
sorry. Sure, of course. very, very minor. When it was originally approved, these were three full-length windows. We want to replace one of them with a door. And I said to Dr. Ritchie, who's here, what do you want that for? There are balconies out the back.
Right.
And primarily it's for access for decorations, such as Christmas decorations. There's no real intent to sit out there in the front of North Main Street. That would be accomplished in the back, but primarily some access for us doing the house during the seasons, the appropriate season. The other more significant issue in a way, although we don't think it is the color of the windows. I didn't do a deep dive into the prior approvals. It was sort of hard to put them all together. But it didn't appear there was any color shown on the windows. So Dr. Ritchie's preference is to have these very traditional double-hung windows with black mullions. Now, at first that raises a concern, but I think, because I remember one of the former members, John, used to say he's on a one-man mission to stop any black windows in town. But
I don't think that was a one-man mission, but go ahead.
Well, he said it was on a one-man mission, but I want to talk about this a little bit, because to me that scourge, and I do think it was a scourge, started with these. I don't know how people even conjured up the names. These modern farmhouses. They were these big windows, weren't double hung. A lot of them were 3 and 4 size, what they would typically be on a traditional home. Stark white, stark black. This is a traditional form, for lack of a better description, colonial. So the windows aren't a lot of the ills that I found anyway that came with the very, very almost repeated use of those sort of fenestrations was the large size of them, no mullions, black against sometimes vertical as opposed to horizontal sidings. Those sort of signature things that made it problematic. I think you'll agree this is a very traditional form colonial house, and it's not out of the ordinary to have black mullions, nor mullions that are so green they look black. The door on my house, believe it or not, is green, but it looks black most of the time. It's very dark. So we'd like your consideration on that. There is a proposed pool house, which I'm told by the contractor was previously approved. It's of the right size. It's
No, it was not previously.
Okay.
It came to us.
But it was never approved. Okay, that's helpful.
No, it never. It
No, that's
was
helpful.
submitted, but it was never presented.
Okay.
And
the former owner had some.
Because I remember I walked the site. 2 of us walked the site at one point,
right?
But it never actually got to the meeting.
Good. Okay, perfect. Good to know then. Well, we're here for it now.
Could I just ask about, were the windows, was there a COA on this building before it was sold? It had to be, right?
It was sold under construction.
It was sold under construction.
Mike.
Identify yourself,
Yeah,
Dr.
sorry.
Ritchie.
Bill Ritchie, I'm the homeowner. We bought the plans. It was never under construction before we bought it.
Okay.
Well, what is that up there?
But there's no CO.
There is
No,
no
there's no
CO?
CO.
That's
No,
what,
no,
about
no,
the windows, that's what I want to
Yeah,
know.
no.
Okay,
No. According to
that's
the
fine.
current
Just-
contractor, the color was not specified on the plans for the windows.
Okay.
But you may know more about that, Mark, because one of the, I'm just going to come right out and say it. One of the prior owners did a little bit of 3-card Monte with people, so as you know.
I'm going to say let's just.
That's true.
I'm going to say let's just move on.
Okay. No, but I just want to make
we'll go through.
I want to make sure. I've been told that there was no fenestration, but there was no color shown on the windows. So
I would think I would find that surprising, but
okay. And anyway,
I was chair at the time, and there was.
There was. And what were they?
The windows
my
were.
new mission microphones.
All right.
So I was chair.
Okay.
I think Susan might have been on the board at that time.
No.
in
No.
22.
Thank God I wasn't.
But
that's all I have to
the
say.
while the writ
There
while the
was a pool house.
was that
Yeah.
There was a pool house.
There was a pool house approved?
Yeah.
So the whole idea with the pool house, by the way, is just trying to move the location of it. I was told the pool house was approved.
Well, all I know is there was a plan that came through for a pool house and a landscape plan.
Right.
And then we walked the property and it was tacked up to a board in the back.
Okay.
But
That
somebody
doesn't
was
mean it
coming
wasn't-
forward and nobody ever came forward to talk to us
That
about
doesn't
it.
mean-
When we purchased the plans, we were certainly under the impression, and we had plans that showed the pool house in the previous location, and that we were told that we're approved.
Right, the
The
under
o-
the
the only-
impression is the issue.
Our understanding is
And
the
I-
pool house was approved, and the only attempt is to move it from the south side of the pool to the north side of the pool. But we're more than happy for you to look at the pool house again. I think it's fairly mundane.
I
Is
do
it
think
with
the board specifically denied a balcony, though. I'll go through my meeting notes. I've got a lot of them.
Okay. No, you wouldn't.
Shoot, do it again.
It was on 4 times.
Which part?
There was a lot of
All right, so why don't you put back out the pool house
Okay,
plan?
very good. You remember, Alice,
Yeah.
that the board denied a front balcony?
No, it must have been in the rear. I don't think they would have.
No,
I don't
we
think
w-
he would have proposed a front one. It must have been
Well,
in
the
the
front,
rear.
actually, there wasn't one proposed, but it showed three,
No, that's like a
Windows.
–
it showed three
Yeah.
windows. The approved plans show over that entrance with the rail, 3 windows. We're just trying to swap out one of the windows for a door, the center one for a door.
Okay. Well, let's bifurcate this. Let's talk pool house here for a minute.
Oh, here it is right there. So it's a white painted cedar shingles, white trim, white windows, and a cedar shaped roof. And there's a little pergola attached to the pool house facing the pool and pool area. It's at the appropriate size behind the window. It's the closest visual feature to it is actually some of those large fuel oil tanks.
Okay.
What's the square footage of this thing?
It is, I have it right here, 545 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
So in the pool house, it may or may not have been approved, but the records say there is one. What you're looking to do is just take the same thing and move it?
Yeah, move it from the south side to the north.
No, from the north to the south.
Like more sun in your pool. Okay. Okay.
It was here?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies, yes. From the north to the south. I was looking at the proposed, the current proposed plan. My apologies. I thought that it was moved from the north to the south.
Sorry.
And is there also a gate application
Yes,
here?
there's a gate application. It is, hopefully you have it in front of you. That's proposed to be Alaskan yellow cedar stained white. The posts are 6 feet high. There's a scalloped center section with the appropriate amount of transparency. And it's shown on the landscape plan. It's supposed to be it's proposed to be 22 feet setback for the appropriate queuing.
And there's no light fixtures on them?
Nope.
There are no numbers on them? And how are they activated?
If you're proposing a call box, it's going to have to be in the post. Are you proposing a call box?
How do you get it open?
How do you get it open? You do a punch pad.
Yeah, punch pad.
But if you can't have a gooseneck, you're going to have to put it in the pillar. So there's no request for a gooseneck entry gate. It'll be in the pillar.
Okay.
Okay with the condition of that. To the extent that the plans are not specific, we're okay with that condition.
Okay. Board members.
So I would think, if I may,
So what for consideration is the change of the window from a window to a door, the coloration remaining as it is now black, what we're not clear what was actually approved. The moving of the pool house, which may or may not have been approved, to the other side. and a gate. So you got 4 things to talk about.
I am confident that a pool house was approved. I don't know the location.
Okay.
It was on the north.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely on the north.
From the beginning, he was told we want to move it to the south. So.
What may have happened is there was an early request for this update that just never came forward, because I remember something like this, a very large one, tacked up to a board in the backyard when the house was under construction.
And the permitting history that I was trying to put together was a little sloppy. But we're here to make it
Yep,
all.
we're here to try to, yeah, a little. So, okay. So, board members.
I'm a little confused. What is this is built?
The house,
Yes.
the house is
I thought you
basic.
brought plans, and I'm just confused what the sequence of events is. But
Another builder came in and got the plans approved, and then Behora's house was built. It was sold with the existing plans, which they were then built from. So the house is built at this moment. 95%.
Not the pool house, though.
Not the pool house. And the gate is a new consideration. The pool house is a consideration. The consideration now appears to be the moving, and the gate. So that's, unless you can find anything in the file that tells us any different.
No, there are, this, like some of the other files with this particular builder are problematic.
So, I'm not in love with the black windows, but I'd love to hear what other people have to say. I thought the pool house move was not a problem. What's the
gate.
The gate. The gate's the gate. Fine.
Yeah, it's
And then the door. I don't know. With the front, I'll defer to other people for the moment.
Okay.
I'll start with the gate.
Okay.
No problem with the gate.
Excuse me?
I said I'll start with the gate. I'm going backwards.
You're giving us a lot to talk.
Real problem.
We got
Starting
chapters
with
to
the
talk
easy
about here.
stuff.
I'm saying I'll start with the gate. No problem with the gate.
Right.
I'm not really finding where the pool house has been moved to in all this paperwork, but I think the pool house is fine. Then there's the windows, and what was the 4th thing?
There's the windows, and then there are 3 windows.
Oh,
and I want to change one of them to
the door, right.
So the only difference from a visual or fenestration point of view is it opens.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's functions.
And a railing.
The railing was approved.
The railing's
So-
there. The railing exists.
So the door, I'll ask a question about the door. What, is it gonna be a French door or something, or just?
Yeah, it's shown as a French door. That's what it'll be.
No, it's
Well, it
no,
matches. Well,
it looks identical to what you see. The only difference is it has hinges and a knob,
well, that would be a French.
No,
but
well,
it's just one door.
well,
Oh, French door says 2, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Just
two.
one.
it's not,
This one.
okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, I'm not sure about the door. I don't know, how long is the, balcony? How many feet is the balcony?
The balcony exists. It was approved.
I know it was, but I'm just asking.
That's like 4, 5 feet.
It's tiny.
So it is, but it is something that could be used if you had a door there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess you could-
Um,
chair there.
yeah, you could, okay. I'm not so sure about the door. I definitely am also opposed to the black because I think it's just much too stark and it just doesn't meet our historical, this is North Main Street and I think it's too stark, black and white.
Ditto.
Got it.
If it were a modern house, I would love the black, but
Okay. Here's what I think. I think not having a door there is actually problematic because you couldn't get out there to actually clean it. So I don't really have a problem with the door. I think the door is fine. I think the gate location, the gate color, the gate materials are fine. I think moving the pool house is fine. I think you have all of that, but you don't have support for black on the windows.
Do you really care that much about the black?
So I think
We're
you're
happy to concede black on that.
okay. Since this is in the historic district, I'm going to get public comment in a minute. We could approve it. We could approve it pending receipt of updated materials, right? Because we're moving it to written decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments from the public?
You
Sir.
have to come forward.
You have to come up to the microphone, sir.
I believe the proposal had something to do with a pickleball court.
Not before
No.
this door.
There is a pickleball.
That's what I got. I got a notice to come here, or about a pickleball court.
Yes, pickleball courts don't come under the purview of the Architectural Review Board.
Well, then why did I get that?
Well, what you got there was a total plan that showed you a ground plan that included where the pickleball court's going, but it's not, that's not within the approval of the Architectural Review Board.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the building department, isn't that, John? Pickleball courts are the building department's purview.
Yeah, I mean, do they address the noise of pickleball?
I don't know, so this is becoming an issue nationwide.
I know.
Actually,
That's why I wanted to.
What I would actually tell you is was the last one, the one before trustee meeting, there's a conversation going at the trustee level about code change regarding pickleball and padel board. So you may want to go look at the last set of notes for the last two trustee meetings.
Okay.
And that's where this conversation is happening right now, and that would be the place to have an opinion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because it's in process right now.
Before.
And since we haven't
go ahead.
closed this, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Okay, landscape, what are you doing for landscaping?
What's there? I assume.
I don't know, but I'm asking what's there only because
Nothing.
there's nothing there now,
That's
right?
what's there.
There's a plan that
Oh
was
no, I'm
submitted.
so sorry. What's wrong?
Yes, there was a
There's
landscape.
the
There was a
plan.
landscape plan
I
that
said
was
nothing,
part of
but
the.
nothing additional.
No, but yeah, there was a landscape plan that's part of the original submission.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm just, because I wasn't part
Yeah.
of the board
No,
during
it's a very good
that
question.
time, I'm just very
This is the
curious.
updated landscape.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an updated landscaping, so maybe that hasn't been approved, right? It's updated?
Was it approved?
Well, it's part of the application. We'd ask you to approve it as part of the application.
I
Well,
don't seem to have that one piece of paper.
the written decision, by the way, and I don't know if you had looked at it, probably did say 2-story dwelling, attached garage, and pool house in accordance with the architectural drawings.
That's why I was so confident.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least what a lawyer would do is read the decision.
So,
So I can read.
and then there was a landscape plan submitted.
Right.
So,
It's right here.
yeah.
But is that the original or is that an updated landscape?
This is the updated.
This the updated one shows what's changed besides the moving of the pool house from the original plan.
Probably the pickleball court.
The pickleball court.
Because it's reaching.
And the gate.
I don't think I have
And the
that
gate.
paper.
And the
I don't
gate.
have that paper.
Yeah, I don't think I have that.
Mark
paper.
has one for some reason.
I have.
It's in the.
He's the
it's in
chair.
my cover letter.
Yeah. Well, everyone's supposed to.
I know, I'm teasing you.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're showing the color, this color one.
Do you want this one, Jane?
Here,
I'm just curious what
here it is.
what
No,
you're
it's a
putting in
good
front of
question.
the house, is it a hedge or is it, what's going in front of the house?
Yeah, hedges. in the front.
Hedges, okay.
Those are trees. So what's this?
Those are trees.
Street
Those are
is
street trees.
here.
Those are street trees.
Yeah, and if you look closely behind.
And technically, the
Okay,
street
so
trees
the
belong to the
house
village.
is hedges.
Okay, so these are these street trees are already existing? 4 of them? Okay, and a hedge behind it and a hedge
On both sides.
on both sides? Okay.
The hedges of both sides are existing.
On the
Oh,
north
just on one
side,
side.
they're existing. On the south side, they're not.
On the front, they're not either. I don't believe. Are they?
Yeah,
On the
no,
front,
no.
they're not.
No. Those would be.
Pretty much.
Okay, I just wanted to double check
No,
on that
no,
because there's
that's a
so many
great
things
question.
and then all of a sudden
No, I thank you.
All right.
I forgot.
All right.
Not bad.
I should have remembered because it also shows the gate.
Okay. And it shows that it's 20 feet. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to motion to move to a written decision to approve the application. This is getting tricky here. To approve the application for. Yep. Hang on. I gotta get my head around this one because I have a lot to go through. Approve the application for to move to written decision to approve the application for 256 North Main Street pending updated plans that show the window, that the 2 windows and door facing Main Street in white.
Can we do that?
And nothing,
I'm
and
well
the other windows are all black?
They're all white.
Oh, they are?
There's just one
Oh, it's-
black window. Yeah.
We wanted to make them all black.
Yeah.
Good.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good.
Call me tomorrow.
Wow. Maybe it's over.
No, that street's just never over. All right. All right, so that brings us up to 2 Gin Lane LLC at 2 Gin Lane. And this is for a pool house and amended prior. Okay. Look at that, big plans and big boards.
Oh my
Nicely done.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, intros.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and council. My name is Denise Shern. I'm with the Adam Miller Group, and I am the attorney for the applicant, Chujin LLC. And I'm here tonight with John Burson of Sawyer Burson, the architect for the applicant as well. As the board may recall, we were here approximately 1 year ago to seek a certificate of appropriateness in order to restore and relocate an existing historic house on this property. That construction has been underway since that time, and we have come before you tonight seeking to amend 3 aspects of the application. The first is that we are proposing a new storage shed on the property. This will replace an existing shed that was there, and we've also decided to remove what is a detached garage on the property. When the
That was the '60s garage, right? Was that
Was it-
was that one that was that was at north of the house at the left hand
Yes.
side? Yeah,
That's exactly
that was
right.
like that '60s garage. Okay.
And the purpose behind this was that the property owners, when they looked at the renderings and some of the design schemes, realized that the property sort of had too many structures on it. So the concept is to delete some of those structures and make it a little bit more compact. We're also proposing an underground storage bunker for our pool equipment, which is pending review by the building inspector for FEMA purposes. But he did want us to get the board's opinion on that as well. And for a redesign of the swimming pool, which I believe was an oval shape and is now more of a rectangular shape. But Mr. Burson is much better equipped to go through these boards with you, so I'll turn it over to him.
Great.
Thank you. I'm John Burson from the firm Sawyer Burson in New York. And also with me is Barry Bistrian from Wright & Company, who produced the mock-ups that we have here, which we can bring in a little bit later.
Good.
So thank you again for hearing this amended application. Just to give you kind of an overview.
Actually, just lay them flat for
Oh,
me because the
better?
camera picks them up.
Great. Okay. I'll just walk you through some of the principal changes to the site plan. Here is what was approved back in March of 2023. That's the upper plan. The lower one is what we are proposing now. The first change is the curb cut and entrance to the driveway is now being moved back to its current location, which is east. The second change is in this plan that was approved back in 2023, there was a detached garage in this location. You can see in the proposed plan, there is now a lawn where that garage was. There was pool equipment in that garage on the roof. It was FEMA compliant, being elevated. We are proposing now to put it in an underground vault. That's right here on this proposed plan. Finally, well, not quite finally, the oval pool from last spring is now replaced with a rectangular pool. The integral spa is now at is now a separate spa over at the north end of the pool. the pool fence, which was visible in the original scheme, has now been integrated into a privet hedge that surrounds the area, and it's a code-compliant pool fence. And there are wooden gates. You can see them in the drawings that we submitted that allow access into this enclosed pool area. Finally, the storage shed, which was a simple rectangle here in the last spring scheme, has been further developed. It's here shown in roughly the same location, just a slightly different plan configuration. Here are some renderings of that proposed storage shed. It has changed, the coloring of the stone has changed
Your
slightly.
storage shed has 3 sets of sliding doors?
Yes.
And then is it really a storage shed or is it really a pool house?
Well, here's the thing. We are in a FEMA zone. It has a functional use for the generators that sit on the roof. Semantics aside, we have to call it something non-habitable because it's in the FEMA flood zone.
But it is habitable.
So no, it's a storage shed. So anyway, we have generators up on the top and breakaway construction, but with a stone veneer. The coloring of the stone has changed slightly since the one we submitted to you. There was a desire to make it a little more homogeneous and a little bit more in keeping with the shingle. Regarding the stone, it is used in kind of a utilitarian manner around the Hamptons and in Southampton, and also, I mean, we were actually discussing this in the office. Some of the windmills have it as their foundation. It was ballast or bluestone or schist typically, and we've introduced it here in almost to kind of recall that utilitarian use, as this is kind of a secondary structure, and it's being used at the walls flanking the center pavilion, and then at the front and back walls of that area. And then maybe, Barry, you could show them the stone. We've been spending...
Is this the big reveal?
Well, actually...
I've seen what's in the hallway. This is...
If you can get it to... Yes.
I've seen it in the hallway. This is the big reveal.
And actually, also, Ryan Company has generated for us 10-year-old weathered shingles, so you can see them with the stone. And it should be noted, there it is.
Sorry. He can't get it through the door.
He can't get it in.
All right, we'll stand up.
But you'll notice, though, that it's a gray, it's a mix of grayish and blue and a little bit of brownish schist. And we'll, continue tweaking this, assuming it's approved. Probably a few more iterations before construction starts, but that is a pretty good representation. It is a veneer because these are breakaway walls, so that's about 1.5 or 2 inch thick stone. But with the joints, we're trying to convey the appearance of true rubble stone.
Is it a fire hazard to leave that in front of the door?
Oh.
Thanks.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, can you move it? It's making me nervous.
Okay.
And I just want to reiterate, this is a storage shed. Yeah?
Yes.
It's a storage shed.
Yes.
To my thinking, because storage sheds don't usually have 3 sets of sliding doors and windows on all sides.
I've never seen a storage shed so
800 square feet. 800 square feet with a
fenestrated.
floor.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was following.
It's a storage shed.
We have also brought along 2 additional renderings. It's the same architecture. These were just generated in our office, and we thought that they kind of conveyed, gave you an idea of kind of a better feel for the aesthetics. It's an unassuming structure. It's subsidiary to the main house, which is, of course, the historic structure. We are going to be mimicking the shingle exposure and shingle species, the western red cedar, and the shingle roof.
Do
And
we
then
have that? What
this
page
one,
is that?
that one's not in.
Okay,
That
thank
one's
you.
not, but it is the architecture.
Where does that window face? That bay window?
Bay window faces east.
West?
Oh, no, it's facing east. Yeah,
What's the purpose for that?
the bay window.
Yeah, it's a storage shed. We're still
Shells.
on-
It shells
It's
for
just
the storage
aesthetic.
shed.
Just for an
But-
aesthetic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
just-
the idea was to create a structure that would kind of look like what one might see as a subsidiary structure on the site. And we did include as well.
So was the, just it doesn't really matter, but on page 002, where you have the location of the storage shed,
Yep.
there does not appear to be a bay window. But when I look on page AS 100, there
Oh.
appears to be one.
Yes.
Sorry, where are the plans for the storage shed?
Yeah, it
The floor plan?
is AS-100.
Wait a minute.
See, there's storage rooms inside the storage shed.
Yep.
Okay.
Here. Did he say dash 100? How come they told me?
Okay.
But I don't see any equipment in the plan.
No, it's on the roof. It's in a well on the roof.
On AS 200,
Yeah.
it's in the shadow on the upper right.
Pull it up. Here we go. Okay. Here's a cross section through the shed. The pool equipment is up here at a FEMA compliant. I'm not the pool. The generators are up here at a FEMA code compliant elevation, and they sit in a well, so they are acoustically isolated from the neighbors. They are not visible to the neighbors. And here's the long section, and you can see the two generators.
And where's the pool equipment?
So, pool equipment, I will pull up first the site plan. Sorry, here, I've got it right here. Right here, we've dashed in on L-100. The pool equipment, it is just to the northeast of the pool. It's in a vault under the paving.
Okay,
so it's below grade.
I don't think that's actually our purview, is it, Alice? The location of the pool equipment.
It's an interesting. It's a quandary.
Yeah,
How about the
that's a
storage
building.
shed?
That
Can I?
your
pose it-
underground vault make it
Now
to
you
stay
have to
with
mull
you.
that one over.
Can I posit it this way?
Yeah.
The owner, well, there was pool equipment in a well on the roof of the garage from last spring. The owner has decided not to proceed with the garage because they felt there was just too many buildings here. So as an alternative, we are moving the pool equipment into a subterranean vault. We cannot put this pool equipment at grade because it will not be FEMA compliant. It's either in a vault or we then have to build a structure and raise it up 18 feet. So that's the quandary we're in.
So it sounds to me, doesn't
Yep.
make any sense.
The pool equipment can't go in the shed? Like
It would have to go
No.
on the roof of the shed.
Unfortunately, it's not.
And it doesn't fit in the
Yeah,
roof of the shed.
Okay. So here's Alice, help me here. I think where the pool equipment is concerned, the underground vault is the building inspector's problem. If they have to build a structure, that goes up 18 feet because they can't go underground, then it becomes architecture and comes back to us. Is that correct?
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
And that's what was approved last spring.
Which?
The garage with the pool equipment.
Right.
Or-
So all we have to talk about is the fact that you're not building it.
Yes.
What, so now you can go
Yeah.
back to your bunker. And
Yes, which is right here.
and that
on
you can have that
L-500.
conversation with the building department. If that does not work out and you have to go back up 18 feet, then you'll be back to see us.
Yes.
Okay.
If you can see it, we care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, there will be no garage.
Correct.
Okay.
Finally, there were some additional drawings, civil engineering ones for the septic system and site drainage.
Yep.
We don't need.
Not us.
Okay.
That's not
And
us.
then also a formal set of lighting drawings
Oh.
was submitted, and
That is us.
they are. Well,
Here they are.
some site lighting and
LL1.
care was taken
Oh.
to ensure that the.
Oh, you're talking about landscape lighting.
Well, no, yes, it's here.
Yeah.
You can see.
But this house is in front of the other house, right?
This house is on the corner of Jen.
Right,
Of Jen
but then the
and
ginormous thing
that's
So-
that's Oceanside.
toward the ocean.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
So
Are these like the ones in the ginormous house?
I'm sorry.
Like if you walk past them, they light, or is this more realistic?
Yeah.
Is it motion activated?
I don't know if it's specifically motion. I can
Let's see.
look in the plan.
Downlight, tree mounted, fully shielded. It doesn't say. Okay, I answered my question.
But great care was taken with regard to.
We went through a lot of work on the other house to reduce the amount of
Yes.
light. Can you make sure that it was all dark sky compliant to
And-
take care of any glare issues?
And we've paralleled that here.
Okay, you did a
There,
great
everything
job
is
on that.
shrouded. The system comes on only when people are in residence.
Oh.
It turns on 30 minutes before dusk. It turns off automatically at 12:30 a.m. Fixtures can be dimmed down to 1%. Maximum output will be set to 35% from April 1 to August 1 in conjunction with the Southampton primary bird nesting season.
Great.
And then you have a gate.
The gate is actually, those are pool gates.
Yes.
So those are within the
Internal.
property. They're internal.
Where are those though?
Here we go.
On the ground plan, there's one set.
Here we go.
Yes.
You can see them.
At L300 too.
L300, okay.
Yeah. And I can point to some of them here.
That's okay.
Okay.
And the planting schedule L300 is also that's part of this
Yes.
submission.
I have a question. Can the bunker go in the shed?
The
No,
problem is they'd have
it's too
the,
wet.
the equipment would have to go in the because it's.
But they're making the bunker, right? Because it's
Yeah,
legal
I don't
if it's
I don't
below.
understand how it can go underground
if-
and be
if it-
flooded, but it can't go at ground level and be flooded and it's pool equipment. But
Well, no, it's
that's
a
not what I
watertight.
do.
It's a watertight
Water,
vault.
Yes.
It's a
But
watertight
it's
vault.
pool equipment that's going in it.
Yes, but it's
Yes.
but it is watertight. The vault. And with regard to the pool shed, structures like that are ancillary can't have.
You mean
Can't
the
have
sto-
bunkers?
you mean- you
Can't
mean-
have bunkers?
You can't
You mean
have
the
something.
storage shed.
You can't have something underneath it.
It can't be a ground level.
Like the
It's
storage
wet.
shed, you can't have something under. You can't have a
Because it's new.
cellar.
It's new construction.
Okay,
It's
okay,
new. It's
okay.
new.
Well, I
It's the
just thought the
craziest thing.
bunker was
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
concept, so I thought maybe
Yeah.
putting the bunker in
No,
that might
we would
be-
love to.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, okay.
But I.
Well, that's a lot. All right. Board members.
Well, I don't understand the whole form follows function with the shed / there's no bathroom in it, so it's got windows. Maybe you can put a sofa in there to enjoy the pool. So no plumbing issues there.
No.
But maybe just call it a pool house. I don't know. With storage in it. And then I don't know about the stone. The grout was white. Maybe in the rendering it's gray. I would just maybe think about the grout going same color as the stones.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are my comments.
Well, regarding specifically the stone, you began, John, by saying that stone was used as a foundation material. If the stone were just that, you know, 1, 2, maybe not, just maybe 2 feet as a foundation, yes. But beyond that, I find this more, and having lived in Connecticut and including rural Connecticut for 20 years, this is more like Sherman, Connecticut than Southampton. And I know you can probably find examples, but I think in this location, the use of stone throughout the entire building seems out of place, inconsistent, and just not historically harmonious or harmonious with the other very traditional shingled houses in the area.
Jane?
I would have to concur with Jeff.
I actually don't know what to think of this minute. I kind of like how it's weird, funky look. It's my problem. It's just, you know, and they have this, but that's not his. I don't know how historical
But
it has to be.
It's a
I
shed.
agree when they put the fake Adirondack stones on the police station. I almost had a nervous breakdown. I'm just telling you that was so. It's still. What is it doing here? But maybe in the back of a giant place, which this is. I'm not completely against it, but I'm going to lose anyway, so it's not going to matter. But anyway, I kind of like how it looks.
I think the gates are lovely. I think you'll figure out how to bury your pool equipment. That's not our issue. Losing the garage and putting the shed, the storage shed that has storage rooms in it, is fine. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the stone. I think it's too heavy against the house. I don't think it actually looks like it was built at the same time or belongs to the house. And we're not trying to repeat history here, but it doesn't look like it's of Southampton because of the weight and the heaviness of the stone. The shape is fine. The use is fine. I just think the veneering doesn't work. And I think that would be my one comment.
He's right.
Okay. Well, no, actually.
He's right.
No, I think then.
What, you're just going to agree to make a shingle house? I get it.
Well,
Are you ready for that? Okay.
Are there any comments from the public?
I'd also like to add, I appreciate your attention to the lighting. That's such a huge issue that's been ignored here a lot of the time, especially where it is.
I would also like to add into the back, the job that you're doing on the house is really wonderful. Because I go by every day and just watching it go up and down and the care they're taking, and because it's an important house. And the care, the obvious care and attention to detail they're doing in the process is very much appreciated by the village. Because people are talking about it. It's a very nicely well done job.
It's a big presence on a big
They're building
corner.
it beautifully.
And I'm sure you missed that 1960s garage that was in front of the house.
Although it would have further obscured the view to the storage shed and stone, which is kind of removed back here, and there's plenty of planting around
I have to have
it.
an 18-foot tower for your pool equipment shortly, and anything could change.
Awful.
Here's one question I'll have. So if you were to remove the stone and do the whole thing in shingle, what would the foundation be? Would it be brick?
We would.
Or would you skin it with brick?
We would love to use the stone, but if we, you know.
If it's just the foundation, there are examples of that here. To your point, if it were just the foundation, I don't think you'd find the objection. I think it's using as the walls that makes it feel like it's not of.
Even though it's just the center part and the flanking wings.
I think quit while you're ahead.
Okay.
I think
Gotta do it.
I think what you're hearing is that heavy stone as sidewalls just isn't working.
Okay.
Can you make a real stone foundation?
Yeah. Can we? Yeah. Can't you?
I'm sorry?
A real stone foundation.
It has to be breakaway.
Oh, it has to be break. There all has to be
FEMA
where the
compliant.
water comes over.
Yeah.
It's a FEMA zone. Right?
What is it? The VE.
We are in a VE zone.
You're in the peak of trouble.
We're in a
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a really awkward thing. In the south, they put up a little lattice.
All right, so council guide me. Can we approve, this is going to written decision because it's in the historic district. Can we approve it pending the receipt of documents show the change from stone to shingle.
With these elaborate plans?
What?
With these elaborate plans? I would advise against it in this
Okay.
scenario.
Yeah, plus we were talking about whether it's foundation and
I think
whether,
they want
whether
to see full plans.
You know, I gave a
That's
range
fine.
of 1 feet to 2
Okay.
feet, and I
And
don't
do
know
you think
what
you
you're
can
going to
have
look.
that updated in here by March 11th?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment for 2 Gin Lane to March the 11th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, which brings us to, hang on, 92 Little Plains Road. Tell him we're sorry you couldn't get that thing through the door.
After all that. Oh, well.
All right. If you'd introduce yourself, please.
Yes, hi. Hi, my name is Jaime Donate. I am the architect for 92 Little Plains Road.
Great.
I'm here representing the homeowner.
Great.
I will share my screen, and I have hard copies if that helps anyone.
Yep.
All right. Our site is 92 Little Plains Road. We are in between Meeting Lane and Hampton Road. It is a turn of the early 20th century house. It's been modified and expanded over time, and we're looking to make a number of basically renovations, and we're kind of doing many things around. So I'm going to kind of first explain what's going on right now, and then kind of go through different bullet points of the modifications. And also, I forgot to say thank you for having us here. I know it's a very busy agenda, so very happy to be included.
I will tell you from the onset, because it's in the historic district, we are going to ask for a historic report from Zach for this house.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know it's been renovated multiple times, so just to understand what is there.
The
that's still
growth,
original.
yeah, it's I
we
have
always
my
get a
own
report-
assumptions, but
we
it's
always get a
really been
report,
grown.
so we understand what is original historic material in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and you can see this is what I presume this is the original portion of the house, and this is the side, and it's kind of L-shaped. And then there is what is an addition that has been, been modified over and over. I think it's been pieced on just from what I have from previous records, and it's been. This is basically the front, the street facing, right? This is the historic home. It turns in and it kind of bends around, and they've tried to mimic what was there. These similar proportions and shapes and roof lines, and then I thought I would jump to explain a little bit of what's going on in the lot, just to give a bit of a background. So it's a relatively long lot. This is Little Plains here on the left, and the house sits basically in the middle of the front half, and then the back of the house has a collection of accessory structures. There is a pool, there is a cottage, and there are 2 sheds, and there's also a good amount of vegetation. It actually feels pretty cluttered. But the house, because it's kind of narrow, or the proportion, right, it's kind of long and skinny, the house pretty much blocks all these from the back. It also has a very dense privet along the front. You have to see the house, you have to be basically parked right in front. Then you lose it. It's actually hard to actually see the full house. You can't photograph the whole house. You have these 2 peaks from the driveways. But there, the backyard it is pretty cluttered, and we're looking to remediate that. There's also this circular driveway that is very convenient. Looking to preserve that as well. So, in terms of what we're trying to do, the biggest portion of the scope is to build a new cellar. Right now, the house, and I think this comes to how this house has grown and expanded, has three different conditions. On the left, upper left on the screen, that is a crawl space. That seems to be the oldest part of the house. There is a partial basement where it's a cellar here full of equipment. And then this very large other area is a slab on grade. It is actually on grade. Like by grade, there's a pretty much a 2-inch difference between the grade around the property and the interior space and the floor, the finished floor level, which it is just waiting to be flooded. So part of building this basement not only is it to improve the needs of the homeowner in terms of different rooms and storage rooms and whatever better mechanical rooms, is also to help with this susceptibility to flooding. So to build this basement, we are going to temporarily raise the house, build a basement, put down the house exactly at the same elevation. So we think that is important. You just mentioned it, but it is important. We think that is, there's a series of these houses right next to each other, and they all have the same condition. That the historic homes are raised 20-some inches from grade, and we want to maintain that consistency. We think it's so important. We don't want to lose that. We're actually on this part where there is a slab on grade, we're going to lose the ceiling height, and we're happy to do that just to get that portion of the house at a higher elevation. And so that in terms of scope, that is our major, triggering much of what we're doing. The other thing that we're doing is that we're going to, on the backyard, we're looking to remove 2 of these sheds that are pretty much just look like puzzle pieces, and we're looking to relocate the pool.
Just out of curiosity, do you know anything about the history of those structures?
Do not. Okay. They're not in great shape, and they're storage sheds, but they're enclosed. They're enclosed structures.
The one in the back's not closed right now because the wind's whipping the door back and forth. But okay.
Yes, yeah. But it's I think one of them even has like an electrical panel. I mean, it's a little unknown. I don't know how the previous owner used it. I would say the cottage in the back is a full-on, legalized or cottage. It's a full-on structure back there. So I don't know what those were for. I think one of them, the smaller one, it's presently used for storage, for pool-related storage. It's not quite the equipment. It's like pool storage and kind of maybe some gardening tools. The one in the back is big, and we don't know.
Zach may be able to give us some.
Okay.
Move on. Okay.
And then there are photos, and I can show photos, but we're looking to remove those. We're looking to relocate the pool and actually make it a little bit smaller. Also, what we're doing in the back of the house, and I'll show you in the elevations, but since I'm here in this slide, the back of the back facade is very, very modern. We're trying to clean that up a little bit, make it more consistent with the rest of the house. And there's also a
Great. Why don't we go to the elevations?
Sure. Okay, so other part of the scope, this is the west elevation, is the front of the house, or street facing. We're looking, the upper elevations are the existing, the lower ones are proposed. We're looking to replace the roof. Right now there are shingles that are not in great shape. We actually had found some leak issues. We're looking to replace them in kind with cedar shingles. In the front of the house, we're looking to, and we're also looking to replace the existing windows. The existing window, and let me pull up a photo just to help you out. The existing windows they are definitely not the original windows. They're I would say they're a modern interpretation of multi-pane window. That I find that they stand they stand out. They're very modern. You know, the way that the detailing works, just with the 2 squares in the corner, doesn't seem historically correct. You know this better than I do, so but that is just my opinion. I think what we're proposing to do is to change the windows within the same size and pretty much the same configurations into 2 over 2s. So I find that these modern multi-pane windows are distracting. Actually, the house is very charming, and they kind of stand out. We're looking to make them 2 over 2, and we think it would quiet it down and be consistent with what's going on in the rest of the street. There's all kinds of windows. Even the similar houses have all kinds of different styles. So we think it would just quiet it down and make it more less, just stand out a little bit less. The only other change that we're proposing other than changing the windows and doors, is this entry. There's a side entry here it's basically the middle of the house, but it's really pushed back from the street, and you barely see it because this one area here blocks it. Is that there is a porch really, and we're raising the floor inside because of the flooding, so we will have a step to go from grade into the house.
Are you lifting this house and putting a full basement under it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And there is also that porch it's relatively deep, but it's just a overhanging, floating roof. We're looking to put a column in the corner or post to make it more consistent with the other one and just kind of quiet it down. It looks like an eyebrow hanging out there. Other than that, we're maintaining this, like I said, the same window sizes. We're maintaining all the shingles. Some of them are very detailed, especially in the old house. We're looking actually to keep those and preserve them. So we're not looking to change any of that. The color of the house right now is white. We're looking to preserve that as well.
You don't have to preserve the white. Because this house is actually kind of similar to sort of the same issues with the Elm Street house.
Yeah, the ones up and down the street, they are natural cedar, and they're gorgeous. But these are painted.
They look wedding cakey to me when they get old.
But it would be hard for us to, we're not looking to reside the house.
Okay.
This is the north facade, which is really on the narrow, is along here, along the top of the page. We are preserving pretty much the facade. There is a side entry, it goes into a mudroom. We're using that, and there's a deck there. We're looking to reconfigure that so that there is a relatively small egress there for the new cellar. So right now the building goes in there. The plan, the footprint jogs. We're using that to get us into the new cellar to create an egress staircase. And we're reconfiguring some of these windows, but other than that, there's no change on that facade. Okay. And then the rear facade, or the east facade, this is the existing, and this is what I was saying. This is where it all almost fell apart, because I think the existing conditions are not as good as they're in the front in joining the two. There are these 3 pairs of French doors with this, again, the same detail of the existing windows. There's a kitchen window here that has a very large pane in the middle, and there are these deep overhangs on both sides that just hang. What we're looking to do is to reconfigure the doors so they're still, yes, there's still a good amount of glazing, but we're proposing to build a porch in front of them, and this porch basically picks up with the one that's existing here. It's a porch and excuse me. There's a porch with a deck. The deck mimics the one that's existing over here. and it starts to unify the facade. So in a way, the facade is more about this band tying it all together. And in a way, the more modern or more open, I would say more open, more glazed portions are pushed back. This is the back of the property too, so this is not, this is within the property in this view. And then this, I don't know how this happened, but this is there's a lot going on here. This, I believe this is an addition, a partial addition of this house. There is a raised patio and there is a collection of different types of windows and doors. We're looking to unify that into a deck because the masonry patio is falling apart. Looking to do a wood deck and put a pergola or a trellis, open trellis over it.
Okay.
And let's see if I'm missing anything. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there is this also this is the elevation of the cottage, which does have this kind of charming kind of angle to it. We're looking to preserve it as it is. The only thing that we're looking to do is to change the fenestration from this pair of French doors to more glazed sliding doors, making it more open to the backyard and pool, and changing the windows. But this building will stay where it is, and we're just changing the windows because. I believe that's it. I'm happy to go into more detail into any of these items.
Okay.
I know it's a lot of
Well,
pieces.
let's go to the board members and see what questions they have, and we'll start there. Board member, and again, we will be asking for a historic report of this house.
Okay.
Board members.
I'll start because I believe this was Larry Rivers' house. And I also think that the shed might have been a studio at one point.
Okay.
So I think that's something we really need to find out before we consider.
Whether we can remove it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And I think the house is so charming with some of the idiosyncrasies, Susan. But you might appreciate that.
The quirk.
The quirkiness, and I guess because I know it was Larry Rivers, and I remember him living there very well, and I've been in the house, I just sort of feel like you're kind of taking some of the charm of it away. I don't know if those are original windows or not, but because the window in the front that looks like it's the attic window, it just seems like it's possible that those might be old windows. So I really am curious what Zach has to say about this also.
Sorry, excuse me, which?
Here in the front, street facing,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that the windows are
That wasn't the original design.
Yeah.
I see. And
We don't know until Zach looks at our
Okay.
guess. This is probably there may have been replacement windows into original openings.
Right, that's what they
which
look
is
like. But
sort of what it looks like. But
it's more the mountain pattern that doesn't seem
we would
historic.
also what we'd also like to see if he can find some historic reference to us to what it looked like
Sure.
before that.
Right.
But go ahead.
Maybe our intent is to make it more historically correct. So that's part of where the 2/2 comes from.
Okay.
so maybe don't lose all the quirkiness either.
Trying to preserve, no, that's why my client, homeowner, bought this house. They love that. And that's why we're trying to preserve it in the same place and all that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I had some of the same questions about the fenestration, but all of which, and the historical elements, but all of which will wait until we hear from the historic consultant's report. From a design standpoint, but also consistent with our concern about balconies, especially on narrow lots like this, the balcony that you have, and estimating from your design, is probably about 30 by 15 roughly, but it's a decent sized balcony.
Yeah, it's like 27 by 16. Yes.
So I'd like to see sight lines to the neighbors.
So I'll talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So other than that, I await Zach's review.
Okay.
Well, I totally appreciate you wanting to get light into the back of the house, but I agree that those windows and the idiosyncrasies, and I didn't know it was Larry Rivers' studio. I guess we'd have to look at the history of it. And personally, I like on the front facade the old windows, but I don't know historically how far they go back and what the provenance is. So I don't know about the front facade to the street and the history of it, but I do understand that, you know, opening up the back and getting in more light is.
Yeah, I mean, the back facade right now is addition or whatever. The doors are very, very modern right now.
I will tell you from my perspective, that big balcony on the second floor, when you're in the back, first of all, these are tight lots back there because of the way the house goes back.
Yeah.
When you look to the house that's to the south, there's a break in the trees that goes from about halfway down that house to farther down where their garage is. And given the height of this floor and the size of that balcony, it's a sight line directly into the neighbors next door. And as tight as those lots are, that kind of huge balcony, the existing balcony off the master bedroom is one thing, but that great big balcony across the back, both from a light issue, because you would have to put surface-mounted fixtures on it by code, from a sound issue to the neighbors, and from a loss of privacy, is going to, I would think you may want to just lose that. Because I think it's going to become a problem.
Okay.
While I understand opening up the back, you've way opened up the back. It just feels a little almost too contemporary to the rest of the house. I understand you wanting more glass, but just look about. I mean, the rhythm of the doors. Now, the doors that were there before are too small, probably, but we've gone from the rhythm of the doors to like a very contemporary expression in the back. Maybe there's a midpoint there. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me. But then you've done the same thing when we've taken in a historic district, a historic house. You've taken the light out in the cottage and put in a lit corner. Because you've got the one big window on A205 where you've taken out the series of the three French doors, the series of doors across the back of the cottage, and you replace them with this, those sliders. They're probably two great big sliders, but they actually make a light corner because then it wraps around with two facing in the south elevation.
Right.
So that's a hugely contemporary application. We'll have to see how the other board members feel about it. There's nothing historical about this house, I'm sure, but I will want to know what's going on with the shed that's next door. Those are my first comments. I suspect that, I don't know this, but I suspect that we may find a lot of the original detail in the house may match the first house, on the first house as we look at tonight, because based on the history, the shingling detail, the size of the window, and the replacements, it may be sort of similar. So I'm hoping we can find some historic references to know what that is. The only other thing I would talk about, and I don't know if it's a historic opening or not, is on you've added and I don't actually think it's a historic part of the house, but this is why we need Zach, on your page 201, where you put I don't know if you widened the door, but it looks like it, and you put a rather large side light into that opening.
Oh, yeah, right now.
And removed a window. That may be an addition. But I just
I believe, I mean, just that is the part that is done as sub-grade. It feels like an addition.
Yeah. It looks like the original house stopped here, but that's one of the reasons we need the report to understand.
Sure. I can explain the reason for the proposed.
Yeah.
We can modify the design of the door that's in the side light. There's a stair going to the proposed cellar that conflicts with the existing window. That's why we're reconfiguring that. But
okay. Are there any comments from the public?
Is this considered, so that if Larry Rivers, didn't he have those giant legs?
It's gone.
No, there was a big fight about that in East Hampton. There.
I remember that fight.
Yeah.
Don't remember who had the legs, but I remember the fight.
He would be considered a person, not so long ago, but a famous person, actually, from here, that needs to be considered. I don't know. We'll see what Zach says, but I think that it is. He's a famous person of Long Island, who lived on Long Island at a certain
and
time.
in Southampton.
Yeah, which should be considered.
Do you have comments? Please come forward. You just, if you go to the podium and just introduce yourself, thank you.
My name's Monique Savarese. I live next door. I live on the south side of the former Larry Rivers house. And I appreciate your comment on the balcony, because I was concerned about the deck, as was another neighbor on the east side as well. And when my house was up for review in 2003, and also Larry had passed away, and then Margaret and Christopher had bought the 92 Little Plains. Neither one of us were allowed to have a deck because of the privacy concerns, because it was so close. So we were both denied decks. That's why he had that small thing in the middle. Because
it's in the area, you don't see it.
Right,
Yeah.
and
And that's off the master bedroom. It's not off the family room that's up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I couldn't have one from my master bedroom over, and I also wasn't allowed to have any windows from my master bedroom side because of the privacy issue for him. So I do appreciate that. One of the things that the Architecture Review Board did at the time was agree to put to have large planting, evergreen planting put in that was high, that is existing there now, and they said that was one of the things that they put in for contingency for approval for the expansion.
So between the two
So
properties.
I really appreciate that you're having a dialogue, but we ask that you direct your comments to the board.
Oh, okay.
And you just finish your comments.
Okay, I
and
thought I
then
was. Okay.
If you want to make comments after, you're welcome to do that, but her comments are to the board.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Okay.
So we put he put the planting in, they put the planting in as a contingency to get the approval for the expansion that they had. So I just wanted to point that out. And was there anything else? Oh, and I noticed there were, on the site plan, on the survey, that there were 3 air conditioning units located very close to the property line, looked like a couple feet away. And I don't recall seeing those on their property, and I just want to be sure that nothing is put in that close to the property, the units for
We can raise that with the building inspector.
Okay, great. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
So,
Okay.
Mark, given some of the comments, and you might respond, but maybe for the next time, if they come back with a landscaping plan, that could be part of the submission.
Yes.
We can work on that. We're not presenting, and there will be a landscape plan, but we're not presenting in part of this application. Could it be a separate application?
Well, let's see if we get back from Zach first.
Okay.
The weird thing about this property, there's heavy, extensive privacy vegetation around the house,
There is,
except
right.
for that very large gap that's between the 2 houses. And some of it, frankly, some of it needs a lot of work. But the at one point, we will want to see everything in one total package in order to approve it, because we are in the historic district. But I think we're going to get some information back that's going to help both of us.
Okay.
If by inference you're saying that a landscaping plan should be part of it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So
I wanted to be explicit.
let's we'll talk. My suggestion is let's adjourn this to the next meeting.
Sure.
And let's see if Zach can get get his materials back in time.
Sounds great.
And then we can go from there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Motion to accept the client's request for an adjournment for 92 Little Plains to March the 11th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so that takes us to public hearings non-historic. The first one up is 64 Pulaski Street.
I'm saying this having nothing to do with the next application and nothing substantively with that, but if he puts back the 35-foot high doll legs, give him whatever he wants. or the soffit and fascia. I asked Larry Rivers, where'd you get those colors? And he said, lifesavers.
Are those the
The
related to the
legs?
legs that were in Sag Harbor?
Yeah.
They're
They're not
there's
allowed.
2 of them. There's 2 sets.
there's 2.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Remember the ones that there was all sorts of like battle about the legs.
Yes.
There was
Yeah,
a
Oh,
gallery
they
owner.
were-
Oh, the gallery
remember
owner,
that.
yeah.
Where you-
Vareed?
Yeah.
Vareed guy? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Larry Rivers did live there starting in the 60s.
Yeah, they're a
Late
long
60s, early
Long time.
70s.
You could hear him playing sax.
I liked the legs.
I did too.
I miss the legs.
You miss
What?
I miss the legs.
The leg was fun. John, before you get going, can you clear up something for me?
Sure.
I saw this when I was looking at the plan later today, and I reached out to the building department, but they're already gone for the day. When the original plan was put in for this house,
Yep.
which was this,
Whoa.
because the parking plan,
Are these as part of this application?
Yeah,
What
this-
was
No,
originally,
so we haven't
originally-
started yet.
originally
So,
attached to that
sorry.
house?
Oh,
Let's start.
What are we talking about?
did they have? Oh, yeah.
This is a carryover.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, am I on the wrong one?
No.
64
no,
Pulaski, right? That's
Yeah.
what I
Now
thought.
you've really
Public
confused me now.
Oh,
Oh,
You wanna
okay.
just call it?
what? I did.
You got.
I did call
I
it.
think Mark did call
I
it,
did
but
call
I'm
it.
John Bennett for the
Yes.
applicant.
I did call
The
it.
architect, Sal Tudrelli, is here with me as well, and I think Barbara Missett is probably on Zoom. Could be. Maybe not.
Barbara Maddock?
I just said, I'm sorry, I confused the
Barbara
concept.
Missett is deceased.
I know, I'm sorry. You're right. She's no longer with us, poor Barbara. Barbara Maddock, I'm sorry. Mrs. Maddock. Is Ms. Maddock on? Okay, great. Sorry about that, Barbara.
I know.
She lived
was
off
fun.
Of, yeah, she was. She lived off of Hill Street, if I remember.
Oh yeah, that was a big to-do, that house. It's never ending.
Mark, you had a question?
I did. And just for clarification, when you guys did the original plan before the driveway was moved, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in the driveway, and the current plan has 3.
Because we confirmed with the building inspector that that's all was necessary.
So,
remember, we put that right into the record, and there was, I believe, there was
just
even a
wanted to
memo
clarify.
from the building inspector.
I had called to ask him just to remind me, but I didn't get to
Yeah.
it because I didn't find it till 4:30.
Yeah.
So the building inspector did sign off on the new plan
4
with
bedrooms.
with the twist in the driveway.
4 bedrooms.
But we signed off on the plan with the twist in the driveway. Your most recent plan.
Well, we as long as it's properly screened, he couldn't say no to that.
Okay.
Okay, so 4-bedroom house, 3 cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So you adjourned this last time, so Ms. Anka, the new board member, could take a look at it. I've been transparent throughout this. If you're going to deny this application, I'd like a written decision. And the reason I'd like a written decision is because we are going to bring an Article 78 proceeding, so I don't want to go there and have a judge say it should have been in writing and on a remand. Might as well get to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless Ms. Anka had anything to say about it.
Well,
Because you did adjourn it for her to look at it.
Right.
Yes, and I walked up and down Pulaski Street, and
Can you pull the mic a little closer?
I saw, yes, there were some garages attached to some ranch houses, which are not comparable to this house, but what I did see was a bunch of beautiful open porches and a community feeling of porches out onto the street, and that sort of historic typology being very prominent on Pulaski Street as an element of creating a community that is a historic part of that neighborhood. So I think it's a real shame to close up the porch, and I don't quite understand the dire necessity of not being able to walk a few steps into a separate garage. But again, I don't know the exact zoning history. I mean, is there an opportunity to do a breezeway to a?
Well, my comment would be 2 things. Number one, it's not in the historic district. So your
okay.
comments about
It's
his
still a
history are
historic
inapt.
street, a lot of old buildings.
Yeah, but there is a reason why things are in the historic district. They're not, number one. And number 2, as I've stated all along, the question of purpose is not for you.
Right.
The question of aesthetic is yours. And to the extent that you're talking about questions of purpose, you're talking about site plan approval authority, which you don't have any of. I think one of my frustrations in representing people from our boards throughout the East End, literally every town and village in the East End, is that sometimes people on boards don't stay within the parameters of their remit and their dictate. One of the things you're doing here is you're trying to exercise site plan approval authority, but it looks like we'll have the judge in Riverhead decide that. So I would just ask you for a written decision so that we don't waste time on a remand if the judge, because you are supposed to.
That's fine. We'll do a written decision, but
Okay.
I do think that what Nina is saying is relevant in that she is distinguishing between the ranch houses further
Yes.
down the street and the houses with porches. So I think that is relevant.
Right.
I don't think that is site plan authority. I don't think she's saying you cannot have a garage.
Right. So let me.
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
you do. This board did quite recently approve a front-facing, very close to the street, attached garage
Right.
on the same street.
Right. So
And you can
I'm
quibble
sorry.
about where it is in relation to this, but it's certainly within the environs. People talking about driving down the street and seeing things. I'm talking about a very similar application that was approved by this board on the street. So it's just cherry picking.
I
that's all.
remember that one. It was quite a ways down.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's still on the street.
So let me make my comments. And I think Nina's points are well made, and Alice, you've stated it in the context in which it was presented. At the last meeting, there were words used to suggest that street-facing garages on that street were commonplace. Common was one of the words, numerous was another words. So again, I drove down the street. I can show you graphically. We can look at the pictures, but let me just address just some numbers. There are 36 addresses on Pulaski Street, 18 of which, so half of which, have detached garages. 7 of which have street-facing garages visible from the street. 2 have side-facing garages not visible from the street. There is a flag lot, number 24, that's not visible from the street. 7 have no garages, and 1 is a vacant lot. Now, Pulaski Street's an interesting street, and I think this is what Nina was getting at. If from Elm Street to Woolley Street, there are a lot of vintage houses. And Woolley Street, from Woolley Street east, it's a very different street. It's a street of about 5, 6 ranch houses, and in fact, the newer house that John is referencing, 170, that we did approve. But it's a different house in a different location. It bears the same street name, but it's 3/10 of a mile away. It's separated by a street. If we look at the houses, the 23 houses between Elm Street and North Woolley Street, we find that 15, well more than half, have detached garages. Only 1 in that environ has a street-facing garage. 1 has a side-facing garage. 1 is the flag lot. 4 have no garage, and 1 is a vacant lot. So in our purview, which is harmony, or to approve or disapprove those houses that are either with harmonious or not, I find, in my judgment, the street-facing garage disharmonious with the other houses in the nearby vicinity of this house, which are different in style than those at the further end, and different than that which we approved at 170. So I'm where I was before, but with more evidence to support it and the numbers to support it, and very comfortable with stating that this street-facing garage is disharmonious.
You understand that the village code allows a detached garage. I think you've got a massive challenge with that, but we'll let somebody else decide that.
I'm stating the code and what's within our purview.
Okay.
Jane?
Well, we disagree.
Could I just, on Nina's point, at another meeting, I believe you, Mr. Bennett, may have said, people don't sit out on porches in the front of their house. And so I was driving around today.
Oh, I don't think I said that.
Somebody did.
Somebody said it.
Barbara did.
Somebody said it, yeah.
The applicant.
Oh, the applicant. Someone said that. And so I was driving around today, looking at the application properties, and I saw all these front porches, some quite close to the street. And I did think, nonsense, people do sit on their front porches. And so I do not agree with that. And so I think Nina is on the right track saying it's a feature of that part of the street, of that part of the street. And I think it's a good one. It's what the neighborhood, part of the neighborhood.
With all deference to my client, I didn't make that comment.
Okay,
I
well,
think that's a
someone did. I'm
functionality
just
issue
repeating
which
it.
is irrelevant.
Okay, fine.
yeah.
I'm
All right,
just saying
so-
it. I'm allowed to talk.
Okay. I walked the street again just to look at it, and I think Jeff's point is correct. I think Nina's point is correct too. I think Jeff's point is correct. If you look at this street from North Woolley heading east, it's a different street from North Woolley heading west. So if I take that block, because it's actually a pretty long street for that part of the village, and if you go up North Woolley and take a left, there's only one house that has garages facing the street, and that's 73. 73 is a half-acre lot, and that house is about 75 feet back from the street. It doesn't line up with the rest of the houses on the street. So what we find is the rest of the houses don't have facing garages, and a lot of them do have porches. It's a neighborhood feel. Therefore, I think this design is disharmonious to the neighborhood. The other thing I find disharmonious is in order to try to achieve this, you are tearing out the entire front lawn of this house in order to make some odd S-shaped driveway that you've removed all the lawn, and therefore you'll have cars parked and what would have been a landscaped area, which is typical to the neighborhood and inviting, this suddenly turns into a completely non-landscaped area, which I also think makes the idea disharmonious to the street. I think from a scale standpoint, the garage is still the most proud part of the house and it's the most prominent feature, which I don't find works historically or architecture with this part of the street, and therefore I can't support it.
You realize, of course, that as long as you meet the required setbacks for parking, and some people don't like this. I was actually surprised when the village trustees added this in the law. But as long as you meet the side yard and front yard setbacks for parking, which are minimal, your entire front yard could be parking.
Yes,
So,
but
I mean,
does-
I know you
but-
guys
but
as
part-
don't like that, but that's
we
not
don't.
within your purview either. That's the building inspector.
Actually, we've had comments before about parking pads on lots.
Maybe no one raised the objections. I don't know. Maybe people aren't
Well,
as
for-
astute as me
That's one of my
sometimes.
objections, but it's not the only objection. And I think this
I
whole
would like to
idea.
make a few comments, if I may.
I
Uh,
didn't get a chance
hang on,
to,
hang on
um,
one
I
second.
didn't get a chance to comment though
Yeah.
either.
So, and I can't support it for those reasons. So, Jane.
I want to say it may not presently be in the historical district, but it certainly is a historical street in a very historical area of our village. And I did work on the master plan, and one of the things that we talked about was getting more of the historical neighborhoods put into the historical district. So I have to agree that Pulaski is a very long street. There's some ranch houses. They're obviously in a totally different category than where this house happens to be, and I have to agree that it doesn't make sense for this to be changed into what you're proposing.
And my response to that would be, there's the Blue Turtles case in Sagaponack, and of course, in terms of, and a case I recently prevailed on in Shelter Island, the Carlino case, where you can't make decisions based upon what proposed laws are. This is not in the historic district.
That is correct.
I understand that, John. I was just trying to give you my personal perspective, and I understand that that's a personal perspective, but
Okay.
But to the extent that it informs your thinking, I would be not doing my job if I didn't remind you that your job description, as it were, is to stay within the confines of the existing code sections.
Right. And the code does speak to the purpose of this board to maintain the look, the feel, the historic aspects of the village. It's recognized as one of the compelling attributes to Southampton, and that's both in Code 116 and Code 65.
Again, you're not in the historic district, so.
I said 116 as well as 165. 65.
Okay, let's your client wants to speak. Let's move to public comment. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to make a few comments. First of all, as you know, I vigorously disagree with the thought process that says a short street, which is 1,900 feet long, can be subdivided into subsections that then determine whether something's harmonious or not. And to that point, the properties that were cited as making my proposal disharmonious, please bear in mind that owners of 4 of those properties are among those who are supporting my application. So while they may be, they are in those homes that you are using to compare to my proposal, and they are in favor of what I want to do. Secondly, a comment was made a few minutes ago about walking a few feet to the garage. I think we've made it clear to the board, I have to walk 88 feet from my house to the garage. That is wider than many of the lots on Pulaski Street. So I just want to be sure that the board is clear on that point.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have any other comments from the public? John, I'm assuming you want us to take a vote.
No, we're going to close for written decision.
Close for written decision. Okay. Okay. So, motion to Move to written decision, a decision to deny the garage application for 64 Pulaski Street is as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I? Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to 150 Breeze Lane. Oh, no, I'll give you. I'll give you back. I steal paperwork. Okay, there's a bunch of you. Please bear in mind the microphone, introduce yourselves, and let's go.
Good evening. My name is Brian Glasser. I'm representing the Silver Bunny LLC, and I have here with me the homeowners. If you guys want to introduce yourself.
I'm Julie Lappin.
And I'm Philip Silverman.
Great.
Hi, good evening. So on a positive note, when we came to you originally about a month ago, the original presentation, we got positive feedback from the board members with respect to the finishes and the materials that we're going to be replacing. The one comment that was concerning to the board members was the actual garage in the front of the, on the front elevation. So the reason why, it ended up taking us around a month to revise drawings, we ended up reconfiguring the inside of the entire house on the south side of the property to get a garage to have a garage door hidden from the street. The other comment that was actually mentioned to us from the neighbor to the east was the size of the pool house, which we chose to eliminate. And because we were pretty much reconfiguring the current garage condition, we ended up putting a basement underneath there so we could put the program space underneath that area as well. So the concern about the height of that, we're just going to end up having a pergola system. And another item that came up just as we were going through, speaking to the builder was replacing the windows, which we're going to end up using a Marvin Ultimate product, which is going to be a white window, and they're going to be a double hung 6/1 pattern.
Board members.
Thank you for making the changes. I think it looks much more appealing in the street.
Jeff?
Yeah, I'll not reiterate. I will repeat what Jane said. Yeah, thank you, Brian, and thank you, folks, as well. And it's not visible to the street, so really it's not an issue. But you have a nice roof line, and then you have skylights in the rear. If it was on the front, that would be an issue. If it's on the back, I'm less concerned. But are they flush to the?
They're going
to
to
the roof?
They would be slightly raised just for waterproof reasons.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have a bulkhead or it's not going to be raised substantially.
Okay. No, I have, beyond that, I have no objections. Back again, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, one thing I will say, you've lost 2 dormers. It balances the house out so much better. And also,
this is something that I went back and forth with my client on, and obviously they hear constant, other presentations. It was a compromise that they actually worked with the general group, so I think it worked out good for everybody. But on their part, it was something that.
When you look at the balance of that at the front of the house, though, it's a balance of the house that's more usual to what you would see in upscale neighborhoods in the Hamptons. Is because when you have you know, a nice wide span. And even the last house is not a wide span. So that single car garage heading forward, it just looks like, there's a reason why it doesn't apply here, but the village does not allow front yard accessory buildings for a reason. Because they look like little postage stamps. They don't look architecturally harmonious. When we take where you started out and to where you've come to, the front-facing balance of the house is just so much better. And I think it's also much more harmonious with its neighbors on that street. Because we've done a lot of work in houses on that street recently, so we've seen it. So that would be my comment. Anyone else comments?
I agree. I was going to say, I thought it was monotonous before the front of the house, so I think it's much improved. I was surprised actually how different it looked. So good for you.
Thanks. We were gonna try to get it in within like the 2-week time frame, but it was
That's all
it was a
right.
little
You
bit
know
of
what?
effort. Yeah, you could see a
Don't
little
We
bit.
live in
Don't
these houses a
worry.
long time. At this point, 2 weeks
Yeah.
doesn't. It feels like it because
You're
I built a house 3 years ago. It feels like forever when it's 2 weeks.
Coming across
But
the
at the
finish
end
line.
of the day, getting it right is
Yeah.
better.
All right.
All right. Any other comments? Okay. Any comments from the public? So I'm going to motion to approve the application for 150 Breeze Lane from drawings dated February 20th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, go build a house.
Thank you.
All right, so we already handled 111. So I believe we are done.
Oh,
We're done.
Yeah, because we
wait, there's
Good night.
one thing.
we had one.
Isn't there one thing in the very end of
Nope,
this?
290 was not properly noticed, so it's
Oh.
on the agenda.
There we go.
Motion to close.
Second.
We got it over. Motion to close the February 26th meeting of the Board of Architecture, Review, and Historic Preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.